Hey, yo, I want to give a special shout out to Cal Dental USA. They taking dentistry to the next level. I'm wishing all the employees, a real, just safe quarantine, man, during this time. I know it's tough. But look, if you need a dentist from LA to the OC, they got you covered, man. Like Hustle Man would say, the marathon continues. You heard?
If you want to hit, take it down with another hit from my homeboy Steve at the rodeo. Tony A is faded on the fade and he getting like this. So look but don't touch, you might get rushed. It's a shame and you're blaming it on that nigga AMC cause he making money and they giving it up for free. Before a beat like D said, we'll shove your ass in. 20 or 30 minutes later, we'll shove your ass out. That's what I'm talking about. Ride your motherfucking ass like a rodeo. In the other bed, D's ride that other hoe, you know. And I see is putting on a swimsuit and fucking a girl party style for the loot. a.k.a. is the motherfucker that you don't get pissed, punk, because he coming like this.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of ROADIUM Radio, episode 355. I want to thank everybody on the live chat, everybody who decided not to be on the live chat, everybody who liked, commented, subscribed. I just want to show my appreciation to you guys tapping in tonight. And for those of you guys that are probably watching it tomorrow, much love and respect to you guys. Other than that, I have a guest here that is no stranger to this podcast. He's always blessed us. He's given us the honor of being here tonight. I believe this is like his 5th time being here, but it's always awesome. We always have a great conversation. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce Be Real of Cypress Hill, a.k.a. Dr. Greenthumb. How are you doing, my friend?
I am good. Thanks for having me back.
First I want to say this because somebody said, wasn't he here like 6 months ago? You always get some dumbass to say something stupid. Actually, you were here September 11th, 2023. Okay. We celebrated 4 years of podcasting here.
That's right.
And we hit the 100,000 subscribers.
That's right.
So, and right now we're about to hit 104. I think we already hit 114,000 subscribers.
That's right.
So yeah, the channel's still growing, but before we get into our conversation, I had stopped podcasting after I hit those 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I got tired, B. I really got tired. I was doing it 2 to 3 times a week. And I said, I'm throwing in the towel. I've given people, so many interviews. Time for me to take a break.
Right.
So I took a break, went over to Tony G's house because I've been going to Tony G's for at least once every week.
Salute to Tone.
Salute to Tony. And we were looking over radio station ratings. Mm-hmm. And he was like, Tony, some of your podcasts are getting more views than these radio stations.
Yeah.
Why don't you just keep going? And hearing it from him, somebody growing up that I idolized on the 2 turntables, I just said, you know what? He relit the fire in me.
Yeah.
So here I am. And to relight the fire, I wanted to bring you back so we can chop it up.
Right on.
So,
and you know what? Salute to that. Thank you for having me. And Tony brings up a very valid point because, he's the type of dude that keeps up on shit.
Yes.
Just to keep up on it, like to stay in game and know the pulse, right?
Yes.
And Julio G as well. Salute to the big brother Julio. He told me one time sort of the same thing, right? Because I had said to people, and from my podcast to motherfuckers in the industry, other artists, that I was no longer necessarily going to radio because, right. I mean, they don't really, they're not supporting any new music we do. They might play our shit in the mix, the old stuff, but unless they're playing the new shit, it's really no point in going there. They might call you for the interview about the new stuff, and they might play it right there while you're there.
Right.
But the minute you leave, that shit is out of here. You know what I mean? And they, if they're not getting no rotation, people's attention span ain't what it used to be. So me coming up and doing this 30, 40-minute interview about the music and then playing, a song or two here, that's all good, but it only lasts for that day.
Yeah.
Unless they're putting it in rotation. And normally, unless it's motherfuckers are calling for it and even then, they might be calling for it, but they won't add it to rotation. And there's reasons for that. Reason because we're older artists.
Yes.
and they can't find a way to connect our music to the younger crowd that they cater to.
Yeah.
Right? That's the excuse they give. Now, all that being said, when I explained this to Julio, he says, check this out, Pimp. I'm going to show you something, and you're going to see that your platform is more powerful than what the fuck they're doing. They've lost the pulse. And he sends me the quarterly that shows where the radio station's at and what their ratings are and all the other shit, right? And the radio stations that we grew up to, and we had homies, you know, working there at times, right? They went from being number 1 and number 2, from dropping all the way to like 37 to 40. And they've been sitting there for the longest time. And when you think about the numbers that they're actually getting per their shows and stuff like that, it doesn't compare with some of these podcast numbers. And where also we can interact with our fans and people listening through the phone calls like you have, or through the live chat and all that stuff. It's very interactive, which radio is not.
Right. And
they have a bunch of program directors in place that really just don't know the pulse of where they're at. So, you know, out of touch.
And that's pretty much how Tony broke it down for me. He actually showed me, Tony, you can look at it right here. Look at 2 radio stations that play hip hop. Okay, I'm not going to name them.
The Real and Power, yes.
Okay. He showed me what they were, and they're not even in the top 10.
No, they dropped to the 30s and 40s.
It's true.
And I say it unapologetically because, I mean, realistically, there's a few people on radio that I love and respect and I would do shit for, you know, but most of the time it's for me, I'll just stay on my platform or come on yours, or, you know, all the homies that we have a network that we do this shit. To me, these platforms are more important because realistically they're serving our fans directly.
Absolutely.
Now, the purpose though is to try to win other fans over, so you hope that your fans will take the message, carry it out, and win other motherfuckers over. That's the gamble of the radio, but they don't even know what the fuck they're doing anymore. So it's like you could go over there and take that gamble, but like I had one of these motherfuckers tell me, when I was putting out my Scott Storch record, I called one of my homies that works up at one of the stations, and I sent him the record just to ask him, you know, how he was feeling it.
Yes.
Didn't ask him to put it in rotation. Didn't ask him for nothing. Was just sending it to him like I would you. And say, hey, Tone, what do you think of this, right?
Yes.
And the homie told me, he says, oh, man, you know, and it took like 6 months before I got a hit back from this dude. I had already forgotten that I sent the fucking album to him because I was already on and pushing to some other shit, right? Yeah. I mean, I was still promoting the record and all that, but my mind was elsewhere. I didn't give a fuck. I sent it to a lot of DJs and, you know, asked them what they thought, right? Didn't ask for one spin. So homie calls me back in between 3 and 6 months. He goes, oh, man, been out of town. I didn't forget about you, man. I'm going to listen to that record, right? And then the next day he goes, oh, man, he hit me again. And he goes, oh, man, I listened to that record, man, and it's so bumping. It's like, you know, I could bump this in my ride all day as a fan, but I can't play it at the station because, you know, I would have to justify with my bosses, you know, playing this because you're kind of older, but the music is kind of newer, and you know, I just don't know how I would justify that to the program director, who is a friend of mine also, right? And I'm not gonna say homie's name, and he'll hear this and know, but I said, look, I didn't call you and ask you for that. Didn't ask you to, you know, put it in rotation. I know y'all can't do shit for me. I called you for an opinion.
Just to listen to it.
Just to listen to it.
And he took months to get back.
He took months to get back to tell me that. And right then and there, I was like, you know what? I ain't never going to do this motherfucker a favor again because I already know he will not return one if I needed one. And when I do someone a favor, I don't ask for one back.
Yes. Unless
it's an emergency, and there ain't never an emergency for me like that. Knock on wood.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But I realized that, you know, because homeboy had asked me for a couple things throughout the years, and without question, without hesitation, I facilitated the favor.
Yes.
And when I just called for an opinion, but got that back, like he was telling me, I can't do nothing for you. So if you're calling me, asking me to do that, like, I was like, what the fuck? I was immediately insulted by that.
You know, B, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I've sent people demos. Tell me what you think, okay? When they get back to me months later, like you said, months later, I will never contact them dudes again, bro. Because look, B, you're a very busy person. And I work around your schedule, okay? And I understand that. But you know what? What I appreciate about you is that you make the time to even hit me back. Even if it might be late. Yo, Tone, I'm trying to move some stuff around. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And you made it happen. So thank you for that. But motherfuckers that say, hey, man, I've been busy all 3 fucking months, bro. Like, you couldn't even listen to it on your phone while you were taking a shit?
Yeah.
You know, at least one fucking... Yeah, no, I'm good.
I didn't mind the fact that he was calling me that much later. It's, oh man, I heard it, and to me it's dope, and I'm a fan of it, and blah 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 blah. It was the extra shit. Like he felt like I was asking him to put it into rotation, and I'm like,
okay.
Nah, man, that's not what I called you for. I know y'all ain't gonna play me because I know that a lot of these stations are ageist. If you're above 40, rocking this hip hop shit,
Right.
they don't necessarily want to play your shit unless you got like a pop ass single that's undeniable. They don't know how to connect the dots with the young folks that they're trying to cater the music to, right?
Yeah.
And they don't even know. Well, I mean, they're probably realizing it because of their ratings that those young folks are listening to playlists without censorship, without commercials,
Yes.
without any of the shit, just direct, without having to hear some DJ force feeding them this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So, or, you know, host of whatever show, you know what I mean? They don't have to hear all that. They could just go straight to a playlist and bypass all that. That's why they're at 40. You know what I'm saying? And the people that would actually spend money with the station and listen religiously are the people like us that grew up to the shit, that has jobs, that fucking actually spend money.
Yes.
And they don't consider that because they don't know how to connect those dots. And primarily a radio station is to cater to the younger base.
Yes.
And they don't know how to do it.
No, they don't. They don't. And you know what? I've hit up some of these radio DJs. I just thought they were interesting. Like, let me bring them on the show and let's talk rap. They all tell me, yeah. They give me their number. Ask me, do they ever hit me back? They never do.
No, they don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Because they, you know, so some guys, maybe they're too busy for it. And some guys that would expose it, they don't really know shit.
Right. You know what? Speaking of that, I want to bring something up because, okay, I watch your podcast. You know I do.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm doing my ironing.
Yes.
Okay. And I have it right there by my TV, and I'm over here, you know, ironing and shit. But there was one that stood out to me. There was a bunch of them, but the one that stood out to me was Lonzo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That dude is hilarious.
Yes.
He's hilarious, okay? Now, he said something. Now, I don't really like to put my guest on the spot, but there's something that you said, and the reason why I'm asking is because you said it twice.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's confirmation. He means it. Let me ask him. Because the last time you pretty much went viral here was when you talked about Steve Harvey.
Right.
Okay. That was hilarious.
Yeah, yes.
But Lonzo brings up Greg Mack from K.A. And then you
Greg
said,
Mack.
Fuck that dude.
Fuck that dude, yeah.
And then Lonzo kind of chuckles, and then you said, I can say that. Fuck that dude.
I can.
Can you give us the story behind that, if you will?
You know, he tried to hustle me some years back. You know, he knew we were getting into radio and stuff like that by what we were doing over at The Beat with the Soul Assassins show. Uh-huh. Not the Soul Assassins radio you hear on Sirius XM, but the original one that Bobo and I started, right? So he started talking about, oh man, I got these people, and I don't know if it was Sacramento or Vegas. It was one of the two. And he goes, oh man, I want you to come up and meet these guys and this, that, and the other. I'm gonna fly you out and blah, blah, blah. And I had a fucking crazy schedule at that time too. Uh-huh. So I was like, look, I could come out there and meet with your people and, you know, see what we could work out, but I got to get back tonight. Like, I need you to get me back tonight. Like,
Right.
I'll go out there, but I need to get back tonight. And because I got a meeting the next day and I cannot fuck it off and be late for it. So, yeahs me to death, right? So I get out there, and turns out he wanted me to do like 3 fucking songs, put me on the spot in front of all these fucking people to do these 3 songs. So I didn't want to be that guy, so I said,
Right.
fuck it. I'm going to do the 3 songs, and then I'm going to get the fuck right out of here.
Right.
And most likely not going to fuck with this guy, because that's all this was about. Didn't talk to no radio people or any other people that he claimed that we were going to talk
Right,
to.
right.
Got me to go do the 3 songs, right?
Right.
So I was like, okay, time to get me the fuck out of here. Oh, man, the last plane was at this time. We're going to have to fly you tomorrow.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it was one of those fucking things where, he basically told me a bullshit story and then lied to me about getting me back the day of. So after that, I just was like, fuck that dude. I'll never do shit for this motherfucker again. And I did it out of respect for him, because what he had done at K-Day. But I had already heard stories about him and how he was with people and shit like that. So
Yeah.
I was kind of like feeling it out. And I got an ugly feeling before I fucking jumped on that plane, and I should have listened to it. And that from then on, I told myself I'll never go against a feeling like that again.
Yeah.
So I get out there and all that shit happens, and I was like, this motherfucker, he set me up to come play these songs, didn't pay me for them. And there was no opportunity for a fucking radio show on any Sacramento
swindled
station.
you.
Yes. So he got those 3 songs out of me, and that's all he ever got, right? Because here's the thing. It'd be one thing, right, if Cypress Hill came at the time when K-Day was still popping, and they had a hand in blowing us up.
Right.
Problem is, K-Day was gone by the time Cypress Hill came up.
Yes.
They didn't do shit for us because they couldn't. He could not do shit for us because he couldn't. So he couldn't lay claim on us the way he could other people. Like, hey, Mixmaster Show blew you guys up. It made you. No one would have known had we not played you on the Mixmaster. Had Tony G and all these guys, and that was my shit. He claimed it as his.
Right.
When it was someone else's idea, right? So I didn't feel any obligation to my dude to like praise him as the guy at Kate. I already know he's a fuck face. A fuck face.
He said that loud and clear. He said it loud for people in the back.
Yeah, so whenever I see him, it's like very short, or he does not come near me.
Wow.
Because he pissed me off, and I'm over it now. But talking about it, it re-stirs that shit up, because I already felt weird about the motherfucker in the first place, and it just validated what I thought.
About 2 years ago, somebody contacted me that he was throwing a party, and he said, "Hey man, I would really love to have you on." What he was trying to get me to show up and not pay me to spin.
Yeah.
Okay. I never seen you DJ, bro, but why don't you come through, drop a set? And I was like, I don't DJ for free, bro. Like, I don't. Just come through. I'll put you on the flyer. I'm good, bro.
No,
I'm good. So I never. The last thing he tried to do was like, do it for the culture. In other words, do it for free.
Yeah, do it for free. For me.
Yeah, for me.
It's not for the culture. It's for him. And that's what I learned. That was my lesson in fucking with Greg Max. So like, I never again. I forgive him.
Right.
As a Christian man, as a spiritual man, as a man of faith, I forgive this motherfucker, but I'll never fuck with him again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the other people can praise him because, they feel that he was a part of their careers in terms of springboarding shit.
Yes.
And I respect that.
Right.
But to me, he's a fuck face. Sorry, Greg.
All good. Now, Lonzo, that one was so good for me. I listened to it about 3 times. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was just laughing,
Lonzo
bro.
was real than a motherfucker, I'll tell you.
Yes. Yeah. I called him up the next day and I go, "What's up, Lonzo?" And he said something like, "I'm just hanging like a chandelier trying to shine."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, Lonzo, all good, man." The next one that stood out to me was the Sugar Free.
Yeah.
Okay, Sugar Free he did our interview about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And he went to my boy's restaurant. He had already came drinking Bud Light. okay? And he had some Hennessy, and he got lit, and he just let loose. We're about to hit 100,000 with his interview. So in about a year and a half, he'll going to be the highest. I mean, we've had clips that we've made that hit like 1 million, 500,000, but actual full interview, he's about to hit still 100,000 views. And he says some shit on there, man, that like, I call him the great philosopher Sugar Free.
He is.
You know, he said this one thing. I don't know if you heard it. He said, a motherfucker has the same amount of time in a day as Michael Jackson, but still chose to be nobody.
Yeah. Think about that.
Think about that, you know, and that's one thing when people ask me, man, like, what do you do with your time? I always try to stay productive. Sometimes I'm overly busy because I make myself busy on purpose.
Right.
But one thing that I do every day, I get up, get my grandbabies ready. That's my thing. Walk them to school, come back, wash some clothes, go hit the gym, and after that, either editing, music, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, watching Dr. Greenthumb.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm able to talk about it. So Sugar Free was hilarious. What is one thing that you can say you took away from that interview, if you could remember?
You know, there was a couple things, and what he said was some real shit in many instances. One was, you know, hold on to your ideas. Like, you can manifest them to yourself, right? Yeah. But don't say it out loud.
I remember that quote.
Because motherfuckers be ear hustling, and if they're quicker to the punch than you, they're going to fucking take your idea and fucking run with it.
It's true.
So, you know, like, to any artist out there, you know, like, creating something from the nucleus and all that shit. And let's just say you haven't done it yet, but you have it mapped out. Like the journey you want to take in making this art or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
Don't tell people what that map is until you've already fucking done it, and then let them fucking hear it after the fact, because you know, motherfuckers be taking ideas left and right these days. So that was a good gem he dropped. And the fact that he was giving the flowers to DJ Quick as the genius that Quick is, you know, their chemistry and connection, you know, I could see that his eyes lit up talking about Quick.
Yeah.
You know, and that's awesome to see when you see another artist excited about another artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was kind of cool.
Yeah. You know, the reason why I bring, when you brought that part up, I want to elaborate on what he said about keeping an idea to yourself. I had to learn it the hard way, because there's been times that in the past I've showed people beats. Because I like to produce, okay?
Yeah.
And sometimes I like to think that these guys are my friends and they wouldn't do this shit to me. So I would tell them, hey man, check this out. I flipped this. Oh, okay, cool. I'll go to another guy's house. Hey man, tell me what you think. I try to keep it within 2 people.
Right.
Okay. About a month later, one guy had one similar to mine, and the other guy had very similar to mine, and I just straight called them out on it.
You already knew, yeah.
I'm like, hey bro, that's my shit right there, bro. And here's what the new word is when somebody bites your shit. Well, you inspired me. The other guy, you motivated me.
Hiding behind the words, you know, semantics. You know, you inspired me. You motivated me. You motivated a motherfucker enough to make the same beat as you did.
Yeah, I'm like, no, dude, I didn't motivate you. Just bit my shit because it was good.
Yeah, that shit is one of the most. I mean, that's a violation.
Yes, absolutely.
I've been there, because I have, you know, when I was chopping up beats, because there was a period where that's all I was doing for a minute was chopping beats, because I try to get into all the elements of this shit, to understand it, to love it more, and to be able to operate any function of it, right? Like DJing, you know, I was into that since, you know, day one, but I wasn't very good, but I practiced and learned to handle the shit, right?
Yes.
And eventually I got decent at it. And it was the same thing with chopping up beats. There was like a good 4 to 5 year period where I was doing that, and then I started making my mixtapes after that shit. And, you know, it takes a certain focus to get there, right? And you put all this emotion, all this passion into it, and then you come with one, and you're like, oh shit, hold up, let me play this for so and so. And I did that. And about a month later, I heard that same beat that I played for one of the homies on their fucking mixtape.
Oh, no.
They beat me to the fucking punch on it
Yes.
when I showed them what the fuck it was. And it was like, okay, well, that tells me I got to just keep the shit under wraps,
Yes.
do the shit, and then play it and release it immediately if I'm going to let anybody hear that shit. Right. You know what I mean? I haven't chopped beats in a while, but that told me a lot right there. You know, motherfuckers be ear hustling.
Absolutely.
And we'll take an idea and call it inspiration in a heartbeat.
Exactly. You know, B, I have a question that I don't know if anybody's ever asked you. Has there ever been a guest that you had, and let's just say he might not even have money, you know,
right?
But it's maybe this person might have done something, been a part of this, or maybe in the movie, and you just kind of like growing up, you kind of idolized possibly the person. Have you ever been geeked out with somebody that you've interviewed?
Oh yeah, Jesse Borrega.
Okay.
From Blood In, Blood Out and Fame and all that stuff. I mean, that was a trip because, I mean, you know, he was in a couple of the gangster movies.
Yes.
And, you know, we first know him from seeing him in Fame.
Yes.
Right? He was Janet Jackson's boyfriend or some shit in Fame, or maybe Mia Peoples.
Yeah.
Either
I
way,
think it was her, yeah.
Either way, he was winning.
Yes.
If it was either one of those two, he was fucking winning. Anyway, he was a Latino.
Yeah.
In the fold, like doing big shit, and then he, you know, comes up and you see him in these little gangster movies, Blood In, Blood Out, and we remembered him from Fame when he did Blood In, Blood Out. That was a big fucking twist for him, you know what I mean?
Right.
So growing up, seeing this motherfucker and all these different things, you know, when he came to do the show, it was a trip to have him there. But the one that probably geeked me out the most was probably Melissa Etheridge. Yeah, she's you know, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
right?
And you know, because I didn't think ever that she would be wanting to be doing an interview with us in the smoke box, but what it was that she was fighting cancer.
Oh wow!
And Dave Crosby from Crosby, Stills and Nash told her to start using cannabis and CBDs as opposed to the over-counter drugs they were giving her and all this other stuff. And she fought with that, you know what I mean? She did all the therapy, but she used cannabis, smoked it, did edibles, all the stuff, and it helped her bounce back. And the cancer went into remission. She wanted to come tell that story in the smoke box. And, you know, I thought it was an awesome story to begin with.
Yeah.
But I didn't, you know, think she'd be telling it in the fucking car with us like that. And yeah, that just tripped me out because knowing her resume and her catalog and her musical prowess and the way that people look at her, and me as a music fan, knowing about her, it's not necessarily the music I listen to, but I know of it, and I know, and I have that respect for it because I know what impact it's had.
Yes.
So, you know, yeah, I was kind of geeked out. I mean, he's the main one though was Tommy Chong.
Tommy Chong.
Yeah, Tommy Chong, because I mean, you know, he's one of our biggest influences in terms of the cannabis shit. So, you know, here we are with one of our fucking, you know, inspirations and mentors and shit like this. You know, we're like, yeah, that first one was a trip.
You know, it's funny because like Tommy Chong, okay, I grew up, of course, like we all did, watching Cheech and Chong, okay, whether it's on vinyl or whether it's in the movies, okay. Yeah. The dope thing about those movies was that I was never a smoker, but I had a lot of stoner friends, and I just thought those movies were hilarious. Even though I didn't smoke weed, they still appealed to me.
Yeah,
I really, really enjoyed it. I think one of my geeked out moments, as funny as they may be, I just recently interviewed him, Crazy Legs from Rocksteady.
Oh yeah, Legs, man, he's a cool dude.
And I met him in Jersey. I was out there maybe about a month and a half ago. And me and my boy DJ Thorough, I want to give him a shout out because he's the one that connected me with him. We were talking about Breaking and Entering, the documentary, the West Coast documentary. And then we were talking about Style Wars and Wild Style. And we were arguing pretty much who came out first, Breaking and Entering, Style Wars, Wild Style, whatnot. And he goes, Style Wars came out at first. And I go, no, bro, ours came out in 1983. That came out in 1983. Let's look up the months. And he said, you want me to call up Crazy Legs? And I stopped, bro, and I said, wait, you know Crazy Legs? And he goes, yeah. Now, keep in mind, 1983, Wild Style, Style Wars, B Street, Flashdance. I've been watching that guy since I've been 14 years old.
Right.
And the only reason why we know is because we look at credits.
Right.
Okay. When he did that windmill to the backspin on Flashdance, we all knew it was him.
Yeah.
You know. So when I was walking up to meet him, I had my son film it. So I'm walking up, and let me tell you something. One of my legs stepping up that I almost fell forward, bro. That's how I felt stupid. And even my son goes, Dad, that's the first time I ever seen you like that. I go, man, you don't understand. This guy doesn't have to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
I just grew up idolizing his talent.
Yeah.
You know, so he came here. We sat down, so I was able to share with him that story. But that was like my moment right there, that I was able to meet somebody that I idolized when I was young.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, he's a king in one of the elements of the hip hop culture,
Yes.
which is the breaking aspect of it. That we all seen him in the earliest of films.
Yes.
From breaking and entering in Style Wars and
Beat
Wild
Street,
Style
yeah.
and Beat Street. I mean, he was in all that shit.
All of them, yeah.
You know, and so, he's one of the iconic names and figures in that whole world. So, like, yeah, a lot of us would be geeked out to see fucking Crazy Legs.
Yeah, and I had him clarify here because somebody was giving him the credit for inventing the windmill.
Right.
So I asked him, and he said, yeah, that's me. That's my move. I invented that. And I said, how did you do that? By accident? He goes, yeah, I did it by accident.
Was you try to do an egg roll and overextended, right?
You know what? I don't want to share it because I want you guys to go watch it.
Yeah,
okay?
go watch it.
Go watch it. And he did that, and then he goes, that's a Latino thing. And he goes, and then that footwork that goes around on a circular move that everybody does,
Yeah.
he said, that was invented by another Latino. That's a Latino thing.
Yeah.
So he was taking, like, if you will, giving himself, I don't even want to use that, but you know when somebody just has to acknowledge because nobody else is acknowledging?
Right.
Like, okay, yeah. So now that's what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Then he's about to get into a boxing match with Lord Jamar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
That's crazy.
And I said, why? And I want you guys to watch it. Hear his answer, but he was seriously mad.
Serious, yeah.
He was mad. He goes, yeah, just watch.
Yeah, I think because, you know, the whole thing where Jay was questioning or disputing the Latino contribution from day one on
Right.
hip hop.
Right.
Whereas, you know, guys like Crazy Legs, in terms of, I don't know, the first or second generation, they were there witnessing it and being a part of it. So they feel like they can speak to who
Yes.
was there on day one. And, you know, I guess that's where that argument popped off on. And yeah, they was pretty fucking heated. I'm friends with both of them. So it's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? To hear them going off and challenging each other like that. I hope they don't box though, man. These motherfuckers are in their 50s and 60s.
I think he's about to turn 60, or he is 60. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. But I know he's up there. But he still looks in great shape.
Yeah.
know?
And,
But-
you know, it's something you don't like to see. You know,
Right.
two iconic motherfuckers, two legends in hip hop. You know, talking shit
Yes.
to each other over origin stories. Where it, you know, by this time, we're way past that.
Yeah.
So you know, to like go back and pull this or that and you know get emotional over it, it's just fucking. You know, let's just keep it moving because.
Absolutely.
That like going back and pointing fingers and saying who did this and who did that, who didn't do this and didn't do that, that just leaves it open for all these young generation trolls that want to rip every fucking thing down, rip the history down, reinvent the history to how they see it as opposed to how it really is.
Right.
Because people will believe a bullshit story in a fucking heartbeat,
Especially today.
especially today, over some real shit when you tell them facts.
Yes.
They'll believe a conspiracy over facts all day.
I mean, you can make up a YouTube rumor, and if it goes viral,
Yeah.
it becomes truth to certain
Yeah.
people.
There are some conspiracies that are true, but like because they're so over fucking blown out now, you don't know what's real and what's fucking fake.
Right.
And so when they're telling you some false shit, you might believe that. When they're telling you some real shit, you might not believe it because it's not crazy enough for you to believe. It's like, oh, that's simple. I can't believe that's happening. But when you add all this drama on top of it and all this complex bullshit, they'll believe that all day. Even if you could show them, like, hey, it's laid out for you. Look at this. I ain't fucking with none of that. I heard through this and that, and that's the shit that's real, and I don't believe none of this here. And that's the thing, man. You just don't know these days. The people that are in the circles that run with some of the folks talking this shit or that shit, they know.
Right.
But other than that, the public outside of that, you're guessing. And then, you believe what you want to believe.
Yes. Very true. Now, the other one that I saw, because I watched them all, Ice Cube.
Oh, yeah. That was my favorite one.
I can tell, B.
Yeah.
I can tell that you really enjoyed that one.
That was my favorite one because, we got a bunch of respect for each other, even after all the craziness.
Yes.
And I thought it was big of him, because I'm very grateful of that shit that he came to my building and decided to sit at the table with us and chop it up and not like be worried that I'm going to bring up some old shit to try to make him look crazy or whatever. Hell no. It was about celebrating a fucking West Coast legend, a hip hop legend, and showing that, even after all that shit that happened in the 90s, that we could get over that and be cool and do work together and sit at a table and have a discussion and fucking laugh and smoke. And I don't know if you noticed this, Tone, but this motherfucker was smoking like a champion, bro. I was like, oh my God, Cube came with the lungs.
Okay, I called up a couple of my homies, okay, and I said, either he was buzzed already or he was high.
He was both.
So he was cross-faded.
I think he was cross-faded, but probably more high because, he was smoking some real shit. I think he was doing a collaboration with these guys called Louis the 13th.
Oh, okay.
And in the cannabis industry, they are very good fucking producers. So if he was smoking our shit, he was lit. Very lit. Probably the littest. If he was smoking their shit, same thing, because those motherfuckers are great at what they do. So, yeah, he was lit. For sure. We were all pretty lit, but he was fucking really lit. But he didn't stop smoking. That's what tripped me out because, most people, when they've had enough, they'll just, you'll see it go in the ashtray and it's just going to stay there till the end of the show. They took enough hits and they're done.
Right.
Where he just kept puffing. And he was smoking the blunts. So I was like, all right.
Yeah. You know what I didn't notice? I don't know if it was at the very end or it was the next day's show where people were dropping money in the super chat for you to ask them certain things and you address it. You go, no, we're not going to bring that old shit up. Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't going to do that shit because that's the first thing anybody wants to do is bring up the controversy and shit like that. And, we ain't never been about that. I've never been about that, because I don't want to make a motherfucker feel uncomfortable in my spot. Right. That's not what my shit is about. If I was about that all day, I would, of course, antagonize and
catch a motherfucker off guard.
Catch him off guard. But that's not me. I'd rather hey, let's show that we're grown up ass men, businessmen, and we still love this shit that we do here, and show that we could build a bridge instead of tearing one and burning one fucking down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought again that was big of him to do that because he didn't have to. He didn't have to come do my show. Right. That's Ice Cube. He's a household fucking name. He's a legend. He's got so much shit popping off. It's not something that he needed to do. He did me a solid, and I thought that was fucking awesome because to from where we started and the things we went through, and to now where we do shows together, we do tours together, songs together. It shows growth. And it shows that if we could do it, which, as hot at it as it was, because it was fucking
I remember
getting crazy, to where we could sit here and fucking laugh and smoke weed and, talk about music and life shit. I mean, that's it's a big step. And we needed to show people that, the unity, you know what I mean?
The last time that I seen Ice Cube, okay, and I'm saying, where we talked, just the honest to God truth, I want to say it was when he left NWA. Rest in peace. Steve Yano calls me and he tells me he wants you to be his DJ. He wants to borrow some of your ultimate breaks and beats. Now I had two sets of them. He comes over, we go out to eat. He listened to the beats that I had on the SB 1200, and he told me, "Hey man, I want to borrow a set of your Ultimate Breaks and Beats. And I said, okay, so what are you going to do with that? I'm going to New York. I'm going to produce my first album. Okay. And then he goes, but I want you to DJ for me. And I got all hyped up, gave my motherfucker records. We actually might have talked once or twice over the phone after that, but I've never seen him again. Now, I seen him at shows, but I never walked up to him and I'm like, hey, bro, that was me that on the mixtape you used to rap on.
Yeah.
So one day somebody actually sent him me saying I had Ice Cube, I had Dre, I had Eazy-E, I had JJ Fad, I had Young MC all rapping on my mixtapes. I'm the only Chicano that did those tapes for the ROADIUM Swami, and he actually reposted it in his story.
That's dope.
So I'm like, okay, he remembered.
Yeah.
You know, he remembered.
Yeah, you got to remember that type of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, man. He dropped a lot of cool fucking gems.
Yeah.
Like the Sam Sever thing. Like Sam Sever was the big producer. He was a big hip hop producer in New York. And when he went to New York, he was going to do the work with Sam Sever. You know, when he leaves NWA, he goes to New York to do that work. And Sam Sever flaked on him. And
I'm glad he did.
Yeah, and he happened to see Chuck D, and Chuck D brought him over down to the Bomb Squad, and they took over. And that was the best fucking move that could ever happen.
Absolutely.
Because that was a fucking classic piece of work right there.
Classic record, man.
And yeah, God does what he does.
Right.
Put you in certain places for a reason. And, you know, maybe he works with Sam Sever and that album doesn't go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he works with Bomb Squad. It absolutely goes.
Right. I'm going to share something with you that I don't think I've ever shared here on ROADIUM Radio, and it's Steve Yano, Eazy-E / NWA story. Okay, it was 1988. Eazy-E's album's getting ready to drop. Okay, a lot of people may know or may not know that the studio where they worked at is Audio Achievements in the city of Torrance, about 10 minutes away from here. Okay, Steve Yano calls me. I couldn't go. My mom didn't allow me to go. You know, and even though I was 19, I had strict Mexican mom. Okay,
Yeah.
So I told Steve, can you please just bring me the cassette? So he brought me a mastered cassette. They had just mastered it. Brought me a cassette, and it was probably about 11 o'clock at night. He goes to my window, and I go, I'm over here, because my front window was kind of broken, so you could kind of stick your arm in there. So he stuck it in there, and he gave me the cassette, and he goes, don't give that to nobody. I said, all right, Steve, and he takes off the Whittier. Coming from a lot of family, I had to share a room with my brothers. So there's 3 other brothers sleeping in my room, so I decided to sleep in the living room, had a boombox, the big headphones. I put the cassette in, turned it, closed it, pressed play, and it changed my life forever, bro. I had the Eazy-E album before it ever came out. Wow. I had Ice Cube's first album before it ever came out.
Wow.
NWA's first album before it ever came out. And another one that I'm going to tell you changed my life. I had the Cypress Hill album before it came out.
Wow.
Funk and Klein had given me that.
Funk and Klein, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And I remember I played it, bro. Pigs blew me away. Of course, How I Could Just Kill a Man, Psycho Beta, Buck Down,
yeah,
Hand on the Pump. To me, what made those albums classic, because I never had to press skip.
Right.
So to me, when somebody says, what's a classic album? You don't press skip.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Bugs focused on as it related to all those early records or early albums, was that the album was on hit. Fuck a single. The album has to be the hit.
The album has to be the hit.
Yeah, so it was like trying to do the songs like that, you know, that no one would skip.
Right.
And, you know, yeah, it's a gamble. You don't know what's going to hit or not. But, like, that was his mentality for every album. I'm not focused on a hit single. I'm focused on a hit album. And that worked for us because, you know, it worked in reverse for Cypress Hill in that we didn't necessarily sell a lot of singles. We sold a lot of albums. Mm-hmm. You know, and with some artists, it's different. You know, you sell a lot of singles, but you don't get a lot of album sales. Depending, you know, if you got good songs to back up that single, yeah, you're gonna sell a lot of albums. But if you got a single and the rest of the album is then only that single's gonna go.
I know.
And Muggs was like, you know, we're gonna focus on the whole piece. And that was the mentality that we always carried after that. It's the whole piece. It's not one of the pieces. And that always served us right, you know, not looking for the hit, making sure that the album was a solid, cohesive piece, you know. Yeah. And that's important for an artist, man. If you're chasing a hit, man, sometimes that shit's getting away from you every time.
You know, I want to say something respectfully without mentioning any names. There's a lot of people that I've interviewed here that drop a damn single every 2 weeks, seems like.
Oh yeah, no.
You know, a single, and they got more songs with features than they have songs by themselves.
Right.
You know, whether you're a group or whether you're just one guy. You know, I always say, drop an album by yourself. You should be able to pull your own weight.
Yeah.
You know,
People have gotten used to this feature shit.
it's like this, B. If I could just get that song with Be Real, radio will play it.
Right.
You know,
Or they wanted some of your fans to come over to them. So if you're on it, they figure if you promote it with them,
right,
that your fans might gravitate to it. And it's vice versa when you ask someone to come onto your shit. It's the same thing, right?
Right.
Where some artists, they just work together and they're not looking at that. They're just being like, well, fuck, it would be great for us to fucking do something. It's the representation of the artists that start looking at the possibilities of, does this combination work? Because sometimes a collaboration will get shut down.
Yeah.
You know, like there's an artist that is a friend of mine, and I ain't gonna mention his name,
Right.
but a lot of people ask him for features, and he'll fucking do them, and he might even do them for free. Not even take a bag. Sometimes he might take a bag. I don't know. I've never asked him that part, but you could do a feature with him, but then you got to clear it with this record company. And then if, you know, they don't feel like, oh, well, you know, we got a record coming out around that time, you're trying to drop your single, so we're not allowing anything that he's on
Right.
to drop at this time. So we probably can't push that through. Or, you know, maybe in the vein of they're not going to get as much from this collaboration. Like, it's only upside for this artist and not upside for my artist. They might shut down that collaboration. You're depending on my artist to bring you the goods in the big numbers.
That's what it is.
And so some managers or agents or record companies will shut that shit down. Or if they feel like the combination is not good in the way that it might turn people off from your artist, that they're working with this fucking artist over here.
Yes,
Because
yes.
fans are like that, you know, like
yeah.
if they don't like this motherfucker over here and you go work with them, they're not going to support that.
Right.
They might not. They might support you, but they ain't going to support that.
Yeah.
And because some fans are fickle like that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
B, have you ever had this experience where you give somebody an opportunity to be on your podcast? They come on, they're super cool, and then somehow, some way, they end up in another podcast and end up talking shit about you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've had that happen several times, and I was like, I just got drunk with that motherfucker right here. Like,
Yeah.
and then he goes in and he starts talking shit, and I'm like, what the fuck? So you know what I do as a man? I call him. Ring, ring, ring.
No answer.
No answer.
It's probably the same person we're talking about. He ain't even worth mentioning this.
No, and we won't
And
mention
I
him.
knew him a long time too, man.
No, I know it's probably a rhetorical question. Why do people do that, bro?
Well, in this new day and age, you know, I think saying something controversial or stupid or any of that shit that causes a reaction, it's easier to keep your name hot. You know, that trollism shit, the shit that 50 Cent became so great at.
Yes.
He is the fucking king. You
Yes.
do not go at 50 unless, I mean, you just, not even unless, you just don't go at him because he's that guy, right? But there's guys that try to emulate that to keep their name hot because maybe what they're supposedly good at ain't fucking cracking for them.
Right.
You know, it's not like what it used to be. So, like, let me get my name hot by saying some dumb shit.
Right.
And maybe I'll get this shit re-sparked. But that only works when it's clever. You know what I'm saying? It only works when it's clever.
Yes.
My G. That's it.
You know, I have a question for you that out of all the times that you've been here, I've never asked because number one, I like to respect my guests. Okay. Like I said, if today's podcasting has turned into drama, chisme, and beefs.
Yep.
That's how dudes get their numbers today.
True that.
You know, they'll give you a nice warm welcome to come in, and then they'll just go in on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen that.
Now, I don't go on much podcasts. I don't. Very selective. But I guarantee you, if somebody ever tried to put me under that pressure,
Oh, yeah.
I would be the wrong person for you to do that to.
Absolutely.
You know. So now I wanted to ask you. There was a thing that I heard about between you and Big Boy one time live.
Oh, yeah.
Now, was that a prank or was that real?
Yeah, that was April Fool's joke. He called me like a week before and said, "Hey, B, I got an idea for an April Fool's joke if you're down."
Okay.
I'm like, "All right, well, lay it on me." He goes, "We're going to get in an argument in the studio and then we're going to cut." I'm like, "Oh, man, that sounds cool, right?" And so we were trying to figure out, okay, what's the opener to the argument?
Right.
And we always joke with each other, like trying to catch each other off guard with these nuts joke and all the other shit, the Big Boy and I and Joe Grande would do that shit to each other all the time when I would come up. They'd either get me or I'd get them. It was always this. So he's like, "Well, what if we're like, playing around and then I take something too serious?" I'm like, "Well, what do you got in mind?" He goes, "Look, my mother just passed away.
Oh, shit.
Why don't say something about my mom and then I'll fucking get heated." I said, "Look, man, I don't need half the city looking for me because it said something about your mother.
Exactly.
Who just passed away. Do you got another relative?" He goes, "I got a sister." Boom. Okay, we'll go in off the sister thing, right? So, we're having our conversation and then I say a joke and he takes it personal. And then, or he acts like he's taking it personal. And then he says something else. And then I throw in the sister thing. And then he pauses. And it was great acting on his behalf because it sounded like he actually got mad.
I thought he did.
And then he starts talking to me. And then I like fucking stand up and say, "Hey, I don't got no fucking bodyguards here. Whatever you want to do." And it just the silence in the room made it seem so fucking real. And then Liz starts screaming as we're shuffling the equipment around.
Right.
Fuzzy's yelling, "Stop breaking it," like acting like he's breaking it up. And when it goes off air, we are all just laughing our asses off because immediately Big Boy's getting calls from his homies. I'm getting calls from my homies. Like, "Hey, do you need us to come up there? Hey,
what the fuck's going on?
What the fuck?" And man, we had everybody tripping. And, we had to go on the next day to tell people it was a joke.
Oh, so it was escalating.
Yeah, because people thought it was really serious. We did that great of a job.
No, you did. When you said, "Did you see me come in with anybody? Did you see me with security?" I was like, "Oh, this motherfucker, right? It's about to go down."
But that's how I am. So people, they thought that was some real shit. Because, you see, I don't fucking go anywhere with no security.
I know. You walked in and I was like, "Wait, you came by yourself?" You go, "Yep."
Yeah.
It's the same way with me. B.
Yeah. I like that. To me, it attracts more problems. You know what I mean? So I don't fuck around. If I can't handle myself, I should be running my mouth to nobody. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. But it led for a perfect fucking moment where he fucking says something in retort to that, and then I say something back, and then we start with the shuffling shit around, acting like we're tearing up the studio.
Yeah,
it was fucking hilarious, and people ask us both about that shit all the time, like, because when you hear it and you don't know it's a joke, you think it's 100% real.
You guys can look that shit up on YouTube. It's still up there.
Yeah,
it's still up there. But over the weekend, I believe that's where I met you. Okay, I was leaving. Okay, and I'm by myself. I'm at a park. I think it's the annual park event that you do every year.
Yeah.
I got a call that morning. My boy said, "Why don't you come through and come hang out with me?" I thought it was going to be, something small, but there was a lot of cars, a lot of pop-ups, a lot of vendors, a lot of people there recognized me. But I'm there by myself. And as I'm leaving, because I say this a lot on the podcast, I say, "Bro, 99% of the time when I go play, I go by myself, bro." So this one guy comes up to me and he had like 4 dudes with him. And he's like, "Tony A." I'm like, "What's up, man?" And he's looking at me and he goes, "Is that you?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me, bro." So I give him one of my cards that has a QR code for my YouTube. Give him one of them. He goes, "It is fucking you." He goes, "Hey, man, I guess you're a real one, huh?" And I was like, "Why do you say that?" And he goes, "Because you say in your podcast, you go everywhere by yourself, and here you are."
Yeah.
That's it, bro. You know, and then I walk away and then I meet him right here. he came up, he goes, I know your daughters. So, but yeah, man, other than that, you know what? Now the whole big boy thing, like I said, I thought it was real. I never heard the answer back that it was fake.
Yeah.
You know, but now as far as a guest, did you ever have anybody hostile, anybody disrespectful, anybody answer anything stupid to you? You know, I'll tell you one of the oddest things that happened to me. I won't mention his name. The guy was here twice. The whole time he's like hunched over like this, and I didn't know he was holding his gun. Okay. And he's looking at me, and his bald head is sweating, bro.
Was he waiting for you to disrespect him or something?
I have no fucking idea. So he's just sweating. And then he starts getting into a story, you know, and he goes, yeah, man. And then I broke into his house, you know, and I shut off all the alarms, you know, and I got stuff in my bag, you know, that turns all the alarms off, and nobody can make house calls. And I was about to go in his room, and I go, okay, we're about to go ahead and take a
break.
10-minute break. We took a break, and then he goes, thank you, man. I was about to confess to something. He goes, I couldn't stop.
Oh man, yeah. That you know, that's when you gotta learn how to do interviews. You know what I'm saying, to make sure you don't incriminate your fucking self. Bang.
How many people you know? Okay, Ice-T said this: if it's illegal, keep it a secret.
Right.
Okay. We got people going to podcasts today
Breaking rules.
Yeah, what they don't tell the cops, they'll tell a podcaster.
Well, yeah, they don't have to tell the cops. The cops could just listen to the fucking podcast now. That's what they're doing.
That's exactly what they're doing.
They started with listening to confessions on records.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these new dudes that are still active, whether it's
Yeah.
gang shit or hustle,
Yeah.
and they had something that is being investigated. They were a part of something that's being investigated. If you mention any of that in the song, they're using fucking that against you, and they started doing that.
Yeah.
And so when you think about that they're doing that in music, they're fucking most definitely watching podcasts where any active gang member is going on to trying to catch any little bit of shit. And if the host is feeding that shit to them, and like, you know, they're not realizing they're dry snitching themselves
Right.
or other people, before you know it, they're getting that knock, you know what I mean? And a lot of guys are fucking violating the rules
Yes.
as it relates to that these days, where it's like, hey man, shouldn't be telling these stories on or off the record.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? These
Yeah.
are, some of these things are shit you're supposed to keep to yourself. But motherfuckers need to get their little stripe in front of the people.
Yes.
And, you know, they need that little validation, because that's what they think validates them, is I'm going to tell you the story where I did this fuck shit, and possibly now they got incriminating evidence against you for that fuck shit you did. And if you made it up, then two things happen. Motherfuckers going to call you on the making it up shit.
Yeah.
And now they're going to just look at you because you said some shit they didn't know about, and they're going to look into it. And it might not be real, but now you're on their fucking radar.
Right,
know what I
right.
mean?
Okay, here's another story, and this was told to me by a friend of mine who is in law enforcement. Now, I know somebody probably look at me, Tony talks to cops. No, he's a friend of mine. We were childhood friends, and he became a detective, okay? So he tells me, Tone, there was a liquor store shooting turned into 3 deaths, you know. He says, and we went out there, we took pictures of everything. Okay. For months, we didn't have a clue. We didn't have a clue. He said, the only thing that really helped me, he said, is that a lot of these guys that I've arrested before or pulled over before, I would ask them, do you have any tattoos? Where are you from? I just ask them questions. They're always throwing up their gang signs. They're always showing off that tattoo. I'm from here, I'm from here. So you know what I do? Can I take your picture? Yeah, no problem. They always throwing up their gang signs, showing off their tattoos. So I got pictures. So one day, I just started looking through my pictures. He says, and that was my guy. And I said, how did you know it was him? He said, because the guy's a dumbass. So we got a warrant. We went to his house. We arrested him, and he confessed to it. I go, how did you do that off of that picture? He said, because that dumbass tattooed the crime scene on his chest.
Man. Damn. That is fucking dumb. Tattooed the crime scene on his chest. What's the odds?
Exactly.
That you're that fucking stupid.
Yes,
Damn.
bro. Yes. And I was like, he goes, if you want a picture, I'll give it. No, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Damn. That's fucking crazy.
So, oh man, so dude pretty much snitched on himself.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a 1 minute break, B. We're gonna go ahead and pay some bills, like they used to say.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but first and foremost, go ahead and put it the first one. I want to promote first and foremost Be Real TV. I want to thank everybody at Be Real TV, Be Real, everybody that works there, everybody else on the ones and twos that works behind the scenes. And the reason why I promote is, number one, because every time I've gone over there, the love is beautiful, man. Everybody's always been cool. Everybody's always been kind to me. And one thing that I like to do, I like to push my friends. So if you guys have not subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe to Be Real TV. Look, and right there it says subscribe. See that right there, Alex? I'm a subscriber. I watch daily, and you guys go on at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
That's right.
Okay, so make sure you guys tune in, and once again, subscribe, like, comment, share on Be Real TV. Let's go to the next one. The next one I'm going to promote once again, Forever Genesis. Now her music is streaming on all streaming platforms. That's the QR code. So if you want to take your phone and walk up to your TV and scan it, it'll take you directly to her YouTube. On her YouTube bio has her Shopify, where you can buy merch, you could buy a hard copy, you could buy a USB, has all her music. She produced 98% of it. I produced one song. It was mixed by Tony G, Chris the Glove Taylor. Much love and respect to her and to them, to everybody that was a part of this project, DJ Dominator as well. Let's go to the next one. We have her video that dropped, and there's the QR code as well. If you want to go there and scan it, it'll take you to her YouTube. Check out her video. Let's run up those numbers. The first single that we're pushing is Lost in You. We're taking it the old school way, where we're not dropping single. We dropped the album, and just like Be Real said, we're letting the album speak for itself. I think if you order it, I think if you get it, you'll truly, truly enjoy it. It's a really good EP. So go and check out her video and give her a subscribe on the YouTube. Let's go to the next one. And here we have To Live and Die in LA. The date is July 19th. That is thrown by my good friend Frankie Orozco. And it's also, I believe, he's helped a lot by Esteban Orio.
Yeah.
So much love and respect to Esteban. Esteban has been here maybe like 3 or 4 times. And every time he's been here, we've gotten drunk. So that's been good. Okay, so July 19th, as a matter of fact, and Genesis will be performing there. I believe, I don't know if she's performed here in LA yet. If not, it'll be her first LA appearance. Go to the next one. Is there another one? Oh yeah, my boy Fashion Town, my boy Jen from Fashion Town. That's where I get all my Dickies. If you want Ben Davis, if you want white tees, if you want white socks, if you want hats, he's always lacing me up. If you want calzones, right there too. Okay, and that's in the city of Torrance. Fashion Town, right across the street from Taco Sinaloa. Go over there and tell them Tony A sent you, and use the promo code ROADIUM Radio for a discount. I'm just playing. Okay. But yeah, Fashion Town, much love and respect for him for always lacing me up. Whenever I need white tea, whenever I need some Ben Davis, some Dickies, some 501s, he's always blessing me.
That's what's
so
up.
That's the guy who sponsors me, so I got to show love to him too. So, all right, Alex, we're back. We're back from commercial break. Other than that, B, let me look at my note really quick, because I don't make notes for people, but for you, I do, because last time I was there, at Dr. Greenthumb, I had you, Psycho Les, and you guys had just dropped, or were about to drop, Real Cycles.
Right.
And then you played me some of the footage from the Whiskey A Go Go. Fuck, that fucking shit was hard, bro.
Yeah.
That shit was. What was the name of that song?
Lyrical Hammers.
No. You played me that one. You may know about us, or
oh, you might know us. Yeah.
That one. Yeah. That beat was insane, bro.
Yeah, Psycho Les did all the beats. He fucking killed that shit.
How did that come together?
So he had moved to LA, and I didn't really know this, but as we were doing the show, he'd show up to the Greenthumb show, and he started becoming a part of it, like coming through and co-hosting and bringing that crazy East Coast mentality to the table. And one day he comes to me, goes, "Hey, yo, B, I got a folder." I'm like, all right, let me check it out. And like every beat in that fucking folder was slapping. It's like everything we used in that folder, mostly everything in that folder we used, because I just went systematically one song by one song. He didn't know I was going to do that, but I was just like, fuck it. I'm in my writing bag. I'm just going to fucking write all this shit one at a time. I'd send it back to him. I didn't know whether he was going to get on it or not. I was just like sending him the ideas and what I was doing.
Yes.
And then he'd fucking send it back with a verse on it. And then he was sending it back with, other features on it. I'm like, oh shit, okay, this shit is taking form
Yeah.
in a different way, because we were just going to do like 4 or 5 songs and like maybe rock an EP, but the 4 songs turned into 6, then the 6 turned into 8, and then boom, we had like 11 to 12 songs or something like that. I think we had 14, but we kept those off and just went with the 12 to like or maybe it is 14 or something like that, but we wanted to keep it short.
Right.
Not too long, because people put too many fucking songs on the albums these days. 20 something.
20 songs.
Giving away 2.5 albums. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you only get paid for 10, y'all, on a label. I mean, on an independent,
Right.
it might be different, but on a major label, you get paid for 10 songs. Anything after that, they're diminishing your publishing.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we said, fuck it, we're not going to do a big old long album and be giving away any publishing because we did too many songs. We're going to, do 12 to 14 and knock it out. But he did all the beats, and, every beat was just banging, and I made something of it, and then he, would take it, add on to it. And some of the beats changed, how that happens. Like you might have dropped to this beat, and then he flipped it to something else. And he did that once or twice. And, we were never disappointed because the motherfucker is a genius. Psycho Lizzy, I don't think people give him enough flowers for the classic material this motherfucker has put down in terms of beat and bars.
Yeah.
Because the motherfucker got bars too. But this was really organic because we hadn't planned it. We didn't have a conversation like, hey, yo, B, we should do an album together. It was more like, hey, I got a folder. Simple as that. And I was like, I know what that means.
You know what really impressed me, B, was that when you guys were playing the footage. Now, I've been seeing you perform since the first album, okay? And in my opinion, and I know we talked about this before, some of the greatest performances that I've ever seen, obviously, were by you guys.
Thank you.
And I said it before, NWA, I saw KRS-One, Ghetto Boys, Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
And when Quick, Second to None, AMG, and we all toured on our first album, we had some of the greatest shows because we were new. And we performed a lot with a lot of East Coast groups.
Yeah.
So they would always say, they're from the West Coast, let them go first. So we would say, all right, we're going to fuck it up. And let me tell you something. And I know you've done this, B, where like you fuck it up before the headliner and half the fucking crowd leaves.
That's right. You steal the shows.
Yeah, you steal the show.
That's, we were always in that spot for a long time. Like, we're playing support. And we were like, well, okay, we're playing support, but we're going to chop your fucking head off.
Yes.
You better come with a show because we're going to come with it. And, like, we're very competitive in that aspect of it. You know what I mean? And we're still this way to this day. But the guys who kind of showed me the way in that you do a show and the energy you put behind it and not give attention to, like, when something goes wrong. Yeah. Right? Because in the early days, a lot of us used to do that. Yo, sound man, what the fuck? Or,
yes,
and make a spectacle of that instead of like just figuring it out and letting the music, be the highlight as it should be. Right. So I saw early on, Muggs took me to see Leaders of the New School.
Yes.
And I saw them and I was blown away because they were on a small ass stage, giving up the most energy and killing it vocally, like just crisp, clear with their cadence, with their backups, all that shit. And then, being a big KRS-One fan, we'd go wherever we'd hear he was at. And there was one show he did on San Pedro downtown at this place called The Reed. I'm not sure if you remember it, but it's fucking way back. I was not even old enough to be in the club. I was probably 17.
Yeah.
And he came in there. The sound was shit. They couldn't even really do the show proper with the mic or anything like that. He got on top of a table because there was no stage. And he was rocking his shit a cappella. And people were just rocking with him in spite of not hearing the music. And they served up on that, And I was like, that's the fucking way right there. Like, he didn't blow the sound man up. He didn't, like, make excuses. He just rocked the songs with or without the beat. And I was like, you got to keep going. That's the shit I learned from KRS-One. Don't stop the show, figure it out, and give the people something, right? You could still rap without the beats if you need to. And he did that. So they were like, those were two big influences to me. And then the presence of Public Enemy. So learning from those three groups, you know, that sort of molded me into what I felt like I needed to be for my group.
Yeah.
You know, and
Public Enemy, bro.
Yeah.
Fight the power. Don't believe the hype. I can go on and on and on.
man.
Amazing group. I've never met Chuck D. I've never met KRS-One. I'll be honest, when you had KRS-One as a guest, I was geeked out.
Yeah, I was very geeked for that.
Because I always wanted to meet that guy.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen him in person places. I've seen him rock shows, but like probably my bucket list artist that I would want to interview would be him.
Yeah.
You know, be that guy. Of course, Chuck D as well. But
yeah.
if I had to pick one, damn. See, now I'm thinking Rakim.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one, I'll say KRS.
Yeah, I mean, those are two of my biggest influences, KRS and Chuck, you know. So to be able to have worked with both of them and could, I mean, it's something as kids. I mean, you and I are roughly around the same age, and we grew up to them and idolized them. And part of the reasons we do this shit is because of their work. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. And the homies that I grew up with on the Cypress block, you know, some of the guys that we're still very tight with now, they're like, man, can you fucking believe it? I mean, you're up there with this motherfucker. And we were bumping them as kids, you know what I mean? And it never gets lost on me that I, you know, was able to do that with two of my biggest fucking idols, you know what I mean? And I was geeked out off of when, you know, first working with them, very nervous. But as I got to know them, I felt settled in because I felt like they accepted me as a disciple. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And but I really did get geeked out off of meeting Egyptian Lover because he was our Bambaataa down here, and all of us fucked with Egyptian Lover.
Yes.
So when he came through, I was like, oh shit, it's Egyptian Lover. Because we rarely see him out.
And that dude is big.
And he's huge.
He's
you know
huge.
What I mean? Yeah, and you rarely hear his story.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, and I was saying on that show and several shows after, like, as West Coast hip-hop practitioners, we don't celebrate our history in this shit enough. And our, you know, initial guys that sparked this movement here, they got sparked by the East Coast, but, like, we're like, we need to do that shit here.
Right.
And we don't, like, celebrate those names enough. So, like, shows like ours, where we're having these guys come in and talk about it, we need more of that shit.
Absolutely. You know who's one guy that, even though I've had him here twice, I would like to hear him on your podcast, and maybe you have had him, because I know, you know, the vibe is different at different podcasts, different questions.
For sure.
Chris the Glove Taylor.
Oh yeah, we need to get Chris up in there. We've been talking about that shit for a long time. I got to get my man up in there. I mean, he's a fucking legend.
Yes. You know, it's funny because whenever I go to Tony's, okay, and I never talk about what me and Tony talk about, what he shares with me, but Tony has some great stories, man. And I learned so much from Tony.
Yeah.
So much love and respect to Tony G. And he's still cutting and scratching.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I ask him, do you practice? He goes, I don't practice. I just do it. And I'm like,
he's forgotten so much that motherfuckers will never learn.
yes.
You know what I mean? Like, he's got it in the tool.
That's a good one.
Yeah. You know, like, he's got so much in there. He's just got to, like, reference it at some point, and he'll get it right back because he stays in, you know, doing shit, and his recall is fucking great because he keeps doing all this shit. I mean, the guy's great on drums. He's great on percussions. He's great at making beats.
Mixing and mastering. He's great.
Like, all the fucking aspects.
Everything.
You know, and yeah, he's another one that we, you know, a lot of us that know hold him up high.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Because he's like the fucking guy out here. I mean, you know, Greg Mack gets the credit for the show, but, like, really, motherfuckers came to spin with Tony. With Tony. And he brought in motherfuckers.
He was telling me something that I just never even thought about. He goes, Tony, like in the early 80s, he said, you know, New York dudes were using break records. That was hip hop. You could tell by scratching the kick. He said, over here, when you scratch the kick for some West Coast, it was because we were scratching an 808.
Yeah.
Over there, we were scratching drums.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought about it. And I was like, wow, that is true.
They were mostly on soul and jazz samples over there and shit like this, R&B stuff.
Yes.
and we were more on funk down
Yes,
here.
yes.
That's why funk is so attributed to West Coast hip hop, because all our DJs and Lonzo broke it down in that conversation.
Not without Alonzo.
Yeah, not without Alonzo. And funk was the thing that was the biggest influence. So when they were DJing, they were playing a lot of funk songs, not old school soul songs and shit.
Yeah.
And I think that was the difference in molding West Coast hip hop sound, because we didn't have one in the beginning. If you recall, all the shit we grew up to were artists here emulating New York hip hop.
Absolutely.
Which King T said so eloquently. And salute to my man King T.
Salute to King T.
Another one of my favorite LA hip hop artists that didn't get enough flowers, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I mean, he was before NWA.
Yes. And had one of the hardest album covers ever.
One of the hardest, iconic album covers ever. The music, the style, the voice, the bars, the presence.
I'm feeling to act a fool.
I asked him, and I hope this fucking happens. I asked him, like, hey, so if you had to work with the artist right now, and do like a joint album, who would it be with? And he said, without hesitation, MC8. Now imagine hearing those two motherfuckers on some East Coast sounding beats together. Oh my God.
You know what? I had 8 here. I wish he could have stayed longer, but he said, I could only give you an hour. I got to go pick up my girl. Cool. Had a great interview with him. King T gave me 2 hours, and I asked him about everything from cutting, scratching, production. How did he meet Pooh? I dissected him, bro. I wanted to know everything, because those are the type of interviews like yourself that I don't care if anybody watches. These interviews are for me.
Yeah.
I want to know, because growing up, you hear these records, like what made him Pooh drop that bass? You're like, holy shit, that made me want to scratch bass from Rodney O.
Hey, yeah. When you think about it, King T's DNA is in a lot of West Coast hip hop.
Yeah.
Alcoholics, Exhibit, and a lot of that camp. There are so many that came out from King T's camp.
Did you hear about the Biggie?
The Biggie. They asked him who was one of his favorite West Coast hip hop artists. And King T's his favorite.
King T. And then I had Tash from the Alcoholics here, and he said, no, Biggie told us, and they said it actually on Dream Champs as well, that Biggie said, if you listen to my style, I took that from his first album, King T's first album.
And when I heard that, I could immediately hear it. You could immediately hear it. King T was fucking very nice with his, you know what I mean?
Very nice.
And I can't wait to hear his new shit, because he was talking about he got some new shit about to pop, and a lot of the artists in that time, sometimes this doesn't happen, but with guys from that era, the fucking game has gotten better for them. Like their pen work, the delivery, the style, like sharpening the sword like a motherfucker. So I can't wait to hear what he does, because he was already fucking nice way back. He was really advanced in bar dropping way back.
His mic presence. And I'm not a rapper, B. I'm a producer, DJ, okay? So I can tell when it comes to beats, I can tell when it comes to cutting and scratching, like who was doing a lot of that fucking dope ass cutting and scratching, where a lot of times in their songs, they didn't need hooks. They had
scratches,
They had scratches. I like that shit.
Yeah. We don't have enough of that anymore.
We don't. Alex, can you do me a big favor? Can you grab me a Blue Moon, please? I want to drink. And if you can get that Jameson for me, I don't know. Do you want to take a shot?
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm down.
Okay, let's I usually have tequila, but they brought me a gift.
Jamie's good, man. That's a good fucking whiskey. You know what I mean?
You know who blessed me with a nice drink was Psycho Les.
Oh yeah.
When I was over there.
Oh, that's his favorite Jameson. Like he'll bring that bottle up on that fucking table.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
Everlast was also once upon a time a big Jameson drinker. I mean, he might have a couple here and there, but my dude put me onto the Jameson a long time ago in the 90s. And so if I'm not like drinking like the single barrel Jack, I'll be fucking with that Jameson.
Right. It's all good. They're twist off. I don't need the thing. And then bring me the shot glasses, bro. Right now when you come back. Thank you, Alex. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, give me this one. Okay. Oh, you would you like one or you're good?
Yeah, fuck it up.
Okay,
have
here we
blue
go.
Moon.
Okay.
Once in a blue moon.
Then they gave me this big ass bottle right here. Now I don't work for it, so I'm gonna turn it this way. I don't want to.
I hear you on that.
I don't want to give him too much damn credit.
They got to pay that money.
Okay, let me see. All right. B, remember the first time you came here, bro? We stood here 4 hours.
Oh yeah.
Now we're not doing that again because I respect your time, my bro. But we stayed we were tore up that day, bro.
We were fucking nice. Oh man, the drinks were fucking.
And you know what? I was gonna do that. But when you said I could do 7 to 9, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that.
No, when I could do the longer one, we'll fucking toss it up again.
When you're in for the long haul.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Okay, here we go, my bro.
Cheers, my.
Cheers.
Okay.
Ooh. Let me know when you want another one because I'm gonna keep pouring mine. Because this is like we got about 35 more minutes, so light that sucker up. And you know what? In that movie, now I'm quoting the movie, okay? So please don't judge me. Cheech said something that was so classic that today motherfuckers get canceled for.
Right.
He said, light that sucker up. Let's get Chinese ice.
Yeah. People used to be okay with shit like that. Now it's very sensitive. That's why I feel like it's harder these days for comedians, because a lot of their material is based off of saying shit that, you know, once upon a time might catch a laugh. These days might catch a cancel. So, you know, with hip hop, we could pivot around.
Yeah.
But with today, man, I mean, you got to watch any fucking thing you say.
Anything.
And
I remember
people are trying to set you up for
big
a
time
bad move. Yeah,
big time. What's his name? Eddie Murphy. Remember Delirious?
Yeah.
He was interviewing again. I'm just quoting Eddie Murphy. He was married. Mahogany baha.
Yeah.
Nah, it's okay, motherfucker. I don't want no mahogany on my bread.
Yeah.
And he was talking about Arabs and 7-Eleven or whatnot. A couple of years back, one of my buddies that's a comedian, he's not a big comedian, he's up and coming. He said that Eddie Murphy had released an apology for offending people back then. And I'm like, don't fucking apologize. Not that we're trying to offend, but that was comedy.
yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I guess. Look, here's what happens. I think with some artists, I don't think he's pressured into making an apology like that. I think with some artists, they look at their old material and they like some of it, and some of it they cringe at. Like, I shouldn't have fucking said that. Because now you're a little bit more evolved where you don't think you would say that today.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I've seen the Beastie Boys go through that, right? So when they were doing Check Your Head, they had us on the tour and we were fucking wilding out because we thought that's what the Beastie Boys were about. But they were like transitioning out of that and they were growing up.
Yeah.
And they were just being artists at this point and not all the fuckery because they got into the Buddhism.
Yes.
And then what you start hearing is them switching their lyrics and not playing certain songs that they felt in their mind as Buddhists or MCA, rest in peace, that was inappropriate, and they didn't want to fucking play those songs anymore. And if they did, they would play different versions of them, at least in the lyrics. So, you know, as you get older, you might mature and say, well, fuck, I shouldn't have said that, so maybe I'm going to change this. And you might be sorry for some of the shit you say, right? For me, and I've talked about this on the show, and you've probably heard it. I'll get really fucking high before the shows. And then, you know, if we're rocking our stoner shit in the beginning of the show, here, I'll do another one with you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You could, when we start with the stoner shit at the beginning of the set, I'm already fucking stoned when we start the show. So then I'm smoking another one, right? And what will happen is I'll be so high by the middle of the show. And all the front end of the show are the easy songs that aren't necessarily as aggressive. I don't want to say violent, but I'll say aggressive, right?
Right.
By the time we get to the more aggressive songs, I'll be very high. And I'll start analyzing, like, fuck, I'm saying this shit to people. This shit is kind of crazy. I'm looking at these young folks that are much younger than us singing these lyrics back to us, and I'm like, fuck, we're saying some really aggressive shit to these young people. Not realizing that we were those young people at one point. Is how we were feeling. You know, but I'll start fucking self-analyzing and be like, fuck, this shit is crazy. You know what I mean? And it almost throws me off at times because, like, you know, I'm deep in thought as I'm popping off a verse. And that sometimes trips me out. Like, and I'll sometimes change words because I'm like, fuck, not comfortable with saying that to these fucking people out here. You know what I mean? And it's a hang up we all have when we get older and we realize, well, maybe I could have said that different. I could have articulated that different. And now that I have a new perspective, I could. But you don't want to change the shit too much from what people love from it, because people like the rawness.
Exactly.
That's what they fell in love with. So the minute you start trying to fucking change too much, you lose the essence. Yeah. So, I mean, I get him apologizing for the fucking joke, but like, I don't think he had to. But I think for him and for his conscience, he wanted to.
Right.
Because I don't think nobody was trying to cancel Eddie Murphy. They love this motherfucker.
That dude's fucking hilarious.
Even when he was picking up
trans
dudes. Yeah. Even when he was picking up trans dudes over on fucking Melrose or Santa Monica or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Santa Monica.
Yeah, well, that's what we called it for a time.
Okay. B, have you ever said anything on your show that you woke up the next day and, what the fuck? I said that? Okay, I have.
What'd you have?
See, here's the thing. I'll ask these guys, hey, bro, do you remember the last 30 minutes? And he was like, yeah, you were fucking wilding out. You were fucking drunk. And I go, did I say anything stupid? And he goes, yeah. And I go, okay, I'm not going to watch it. I won't watch that shit. I won't watch that shit, bro. But
I don't watch back any of the shows.
Exactly, bro.
I just don't.
So like, okay, one time the record is you're the second longest interview, well, should I say conversation.
Right.
I had this one dude here, B, we just kept drinking and drinking and drinking. He brought me a bottle of tequila this fucking big.
Oh, my God.
Okay? I'm over here pouring that motherfucker, spilling it all over my fucking table.
Oh, man.
We started at 7.
How are you alive?
Exactly. We started at 7, okay? It was a 6-hour fucking conversation, bro. And then I finally realized, like, wait, I went like this. What time is it? And then my boy goes, you've been on 6 hours. Okay, we're going to give our shout outs. And that's how we ended it. I remember it was this fat motherfucker's birthday, and I sang him happy birthday twice.
You know you're fucking faded when you sing somebody happy birthday. Oh, my God. Oh, shit.
So after that, I was like, I'm not drinking on the show no more. Fuck that, I'm not drinking on the show no more. Then finally, I start again. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Hey, it happens. I mean, you know, like I don't recall a moment where I said some shit that I regretted.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that, like, you know, we've gone on the show and have been microdosing.
Okay.
And we'll just laugh at nothing. You know, we'll say some shit that, like, maybe somebody watching will be like, what the fuck? And then we'll all be laughing at it because we're all on the same plane at this point. But it, like, I haven't, not yet. At least, you know, but I don't go back and listen to anything.
Me, I try not to be. I watch you more than I watch me.
Because I think if I did go back, I would hear a gang of shit that I was like, maybe I should have said this instead.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm always analyzing.
Well, one regret that I have about podcasting, if there's any, the only regret that I would probably have, and even though I meant every fucking word I said, I should have never have addressed haters.
Right.
I should have never have done that. And there was maybe a total of maybe 3 times within 5 years that I've called somebody out.
Yeah.
You know, and Tony G, with his words of wisdom, told me like this, Tony, why are you wasting your time?
Yeah, you give it life.
Yeah. And he said, if that guy saw you right here walking down the street, he would piss in his fucking pants.
Yeah, it wouldn't do shit.
He said, these guys don't fight today.
No.
They don't fight.
It's for the views.
Yes.
And the reaction.
Yes. And then he says, you know, he talks about himself, I'm never going to address someone who will never say it to my face.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I have never met a hater in person.
You'll never meet a hater in person.
Yeah.
That's real shit right there. For me, like the things that I don't fuck with as we're doing the show.
Yeah.
It's like I don't get into politics,
Right.
Because politics is a very divisive subject, much like religion, right?
Right.
And you know, I try to stay away from that, and I try not to like you know, shit on people's views,
Right.
even if mine are
Right.
different.
Right.
You know, I try to make it a relaxed situation because I mean I know what it's like to be in a interview that you don't want to be in, with some motherfucker that you can't really connect with, and they went to journalism school and they don't know shit, and they're asking you the 10 questions that they teach you to fucking ask them. Right. And so you know, you get tired of that, and you know, you try to do this shit right here, and then you get scrutinized for being you. And if you feed into that, then it gives them fucking life, and it gives them a spark to keep going at you. It's like the bully in school, right?
Right.
That if you don't stand up for yourself and you keep letting them poke you in the chest, they're gonna keep poking you in the fucking chest.
Yeah.
But the minute you say, hey, you do that shit again, and this is what's gonna happen, or you fucking avoid them and just ignore them like they don't fucking exist, and you don't allow yourself to be put in that situation, you know. So that's how I do with the haters, right? So like if motherfuckers be coming with the trollism and hating on our shit, I don't really engage them. We just fucking pop them out of the room, and that's that. Or we might even let them stay.
Yeah.
But you know, I try not to do that shit because really it just gives them more fuel.
It truly, truly does. You know what? And some people, some of these guys probably still live at home with their mom.
Yeah. Finger bangers is what we call
Finger
them.
bangers.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
okay.
finger bangers. You know, you're tough on the keyboard, my mother.
Yeah.
Dude,
And as soon
but-
as you answer back, they're probably jerking off. They get happy that you actually, I got his attention. I got it.
Right. You fucking said it. You nailed it on the head with that shit. Because look, I'll give you an example, right? So when I was in the Prophets of Rage,
Okay.
I would get a lot of motherfuckers commenting on any post that I did that was Prophets related.
Yeah, right.
Get called a communist and all this other shit, and why you doing Rage Against the Machine shit and this, that, and the other, right? And when I would engage them, it gave them more fuel to like fucking come at me. And I didn't mind that. I was like, well, fuck you. I'm a wordsmith. I'm going to fucking make you feel small if you're coming to try to fuck with me, right?
Yes.
But what happened was that they would flip it. They'd come at me with some bullshit, and I'd respond to them on Instagram or whatever platform. But let's just say Instagram. And they couldn't take the shit I was saying back to them, so they'd report me, and then I'd get a flag for fucking bullying.
Oh, they did the fucking same thing to me.
Like, how fucked is that?
It is fucked. You know what? And they baited you to do that so they can report
Yes.
you. And I'm gonna tell you, this is my 7th Instagram page, B.
Yeah.
A lot of people would always tell me, one day I saw Mr. Cartoon. I followed them 7 times on 7 different pages. And he finally said, why do you keep on following me? And I go, bro,
They keep shutting you down.
they keep shutting me down, so I'm keep following you, bro.
And see, that's the baiting shit, right? Because I would get that, and I would fucking engage, and then I'd get a strike on my fucking page, right?
Because they reported your comment.
Because they reported my comment. And then I'd fucking hit up Instagram like, didn't you see the comment that they made to me that sparked my response?
Right.
Wasn't good enough. I still get the fucking jack on my page, right? I'm still fucked on
Yes.
Instagram. Like, I've been stuck on 1.3 followers for the last 3 years.
No shit.
Yeah. So like the example is this, right? So let's just say I get 20,000 new followers a month.
Right.
They will fucking follow up with, I had 21,000 unfollowers that month.
Very true.
And that's how they fucking limit your growth and shit like that. But what happens, the reason they do that is because either your page is getting reported by haters,
Right.
or somebody reported your comments for bullying,
Right.
or, you know, the other thing is if you share a post out, you know, even if you give motherfuckers credit, some of these motherfuckers will hit you with the fucking copyright infringement. Like, this was my post and you reposted it, and I
Right.
didn't give you permission to repost it.
Right.
And shit, like little petty shit like
Right.
that. And so I just learned not to engage any of it at this point. Like,
Yeah.
not give it any life.
Right.
And you know, just keep pushing, because realistically, that's what they want you to do. They want you to give it life so that they get a little bit of, you know, extension to that 15 minutes
Yes. You
of
know
fame
what?
that they want.
On one of my pages, I think this is the longest that I've ever had a page, was like a year and a half. Every time I hit like 12, 13K, I get fucking deleted because somebody with a fucking fake ass page. And I remember this one fat dude. He was fat. He had his profile pic was some fat dude, and he came on my page talking shit. And I said, "Fuck you, fat motherfucker," you know. And he reported my fucking comment, bro.
Bullying,
Yes,
harassment,
bullying and harassment.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And I was like, this fucking fat puto came on my page talking shit, but I get the bullying and harassment.
So what I started doing was, the minute someone serves me that shit, bullying and harassment on your motherfucking ass.
Yeah.
I'll give it, because I know when I'm being baited at this point. I've done it long enough,
Yes.
so I know when I'm being baited. So I'll fucking just, before I won't even respond to them. I'll just be like hitting them with the bullying harassment shit, like they would do me, like they're expecting to do me.
Right.
And this is the only reason why my fucking page has not been paused out, and I had to restart, because I learned this algorithm with these fucking trolls. You know what I mean? And I don't give them no life. I don't argue with them anymore like I used to, because I used to love that shit, you know.
Bro, I've been following you for a long time, and I would see, it's like, fuck you, fuck boy. I was,
Yeah. I love when someone comes at me like that, because I'll give it to them. You know, I'm a Gemini, man. You know, like there's two sides of me, the cool side and then that fuck side. Mm-hmm. And you spark that fuck side, you got to be willing to deal with it. And these little bitch ass motherfuckers ain't willing to deal with it. They bait you to like report you,
Yes.
because maybe they hate your shit or resent it or against whatever the fuck you are or what
Yes.
you're doing. So they want to bait you to take your shit down.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of that, but
Right.
when I was doing profits, for sure I was doing.
what do you think that was when you were with them?
Well, because I was with Morello, and Morello, you know, he's labeled as a communist.
Right.
I don't feel like he is fully,
Right.
you know, but they label him as that because the history of his mom and all that stuff, and she's a great lady. I mean, Mary Morello is a very cool person, but because the label communist happens, especially with the Rage Against the Machine shit, speaking against the government and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now I'm in a group with, you know, Morello.
So they put you guys like, oh, you must be him.
And they lump me into that shit. And then, you know, you got Chuck with Public Enemy, who is Chuck with Public Enemy, who's revolutionary, not necessarily communism, but revolutionary. So now they lump me into this thing with communism.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, I have a problem with that because my mother escaped Cuba.
Yes.
She had to escape. She didn't get out on the, she did not, she wasn't in the lottery system. She went to prison for being a revolutionary, and she was scheduled for execution.
Holy shit.
And fortunately, she had a cousin or uncle or something like that worked in the prison that they had her in. And because they're family, he was like, I'm going to help you out here because they're going to execute you, and I'm going to leave this unmanned and open for you, and I'm going to leave this raft over here on this part if you can get to it.
Yeah. And this is under Castro.
Yeah, and this was under Castro. So, like, you know, my mother escaped communism because she was not with the shit. You know, and she even went back in 80 or 82, whenever the boat lift was, to go get my grandmother, one of my older sisters, and two of my uncles and their immediate family, right? At risk. She had to change her name to go back in because if they had caught her, they were going to execute her. You know what I mean? Enemy of the state type shit.
And how scary is that to go back?
Right. So when these motherfuckers start baiting me and calling me a commie, it got to me, man. So I like would go in on them and boom, immediately boom, harassment and bullying. And I'm like, and I'm hitting fucking, Instagram, doing the shake to report the shit.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
did you even see the comment this motherfucker made to me to be flagging me? And they don't care because realistically, it's not a human.
It's a fucking machine.
It's all AI or a machine generated to catch certain phrases, certain words.
Yeah.
And there's no human review.
Yeah.
So you're arguing to nobody. So
You're absolutely right.
So I stopped. I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not giving them my energy or time. I'll just report them before they report me.
Yeah. I got a little bit of that hate not too long ago about, I want to say maybe about 2 months ago. Was it about 2 months ago that I was in New York? Somewhere around there. I went to go visit my boy, DJ Toro. He teaches, by the way, he teaches a lot for Raekwon, Cameron, Cassidy. He teaches for a lot of people. And,
geez.
Yes. Every time I go over there, well, he lives in Harlem, so I stay there with him. Okay. And I love Harlem. I can't live over there.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Harlem is cool, but yes, we're LA boys. We gotta be here.
Exactly.
Southern Cali, I should say.
Yes. So when he picked me and my son up from the airport, he said, I lived here all my life, bro, and I never went to Malcolm X's house where they bombed his house and his family was in there.
Yeah.
The famous picture of him holding the AK-47 and whatnot. And we went to his house. So I took a picture with my boy Toro, and we're striking a pose, and I put up a picture of Malcolm X standing in front of his house. And believe it or not, I got maybe about 12 messages. In lover.
What?
You want to be Muslim? And I'm like, okay, first and foremost, I'm not trying to convert to Islam, but I love the fact that Malcolm X was passionate for his people.
Yes.
I love the fact that he was for equal rights. Okay. And, I love this preaching. I love this passion, and that's it. But I got kind of hate for that.
Yeah, you got, of course, because motherfuckers can't understand that. I got a lot of that shit too.
Yeah.
One, because I gang banged with Bloods.
Yeah. And you're wearing a blue hat.
You know what I mean? I'm colorblind at this point,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
But, I banged with Bloods, so immediately a lot of homies out here, most especially in Southern Cali, you throw the word out.
Yes.
Right? And I didn't engage in it because it was like, you know what, fuck you.
Yeah, pretty much. Just
Come say it to me. I mean, you could say it from far.
And none of them have.
Banger shit.
Yes.
But come say it to me if you really feel that crazy about it.
Yeah.
But look, it is what it is because we're all in circumstance. Where we grow up is where we grow up.
Absolutely.
Right? And you can't help that.
Yeah.
Like if your family, it's okay. So let me give you a fucked up, example. Karate Kid, right? But not the Ralph Macchio version. The fucking Jada, no, not Jada. What's the son?
Jaden Smith.
Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. His family moves to China.
Yeah.
And he got to get with the shits down there, and he's an outsider.
Right.
I mean, it's the same premise. You know what I mean? We grow up where we grow up. It's a matter of circumstance. Sometimes Latinos grow up in black neighborhoods. Sometimes black homies grow up in Latino neighborhoods, and white guys grow up in black neighborhoods or Latino neighborhoods, and vice versa. And you sort of become a product of your environment.
Of course.
And no one, I mean, back in the day, motherfuckers would be understanding that and be like, well, yeah, he's one of us. He grew up with us, and it doesn't matter that he's Mexican, or it doesn't matter that he's black, or it doesn't matter that he's white or Filipino or any of that.
Right.
These days it seems to matter. And it's like, what the fuck? Like you can't judge someone by the fact that when they grew up, this is what their family could afford, and where they grew up, and what this shit is, where you grew up, and the people you called your friends. You can't fucking help that. Sometimes it's circumstance. Sometimes it's by choice, but a lot of times it's by circumstance.
No.
You can't tell your parents where to fucking move.
You know what, B, and I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm going to say this, and some people may not want to hear it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. And I'm talking about 80s during the gang epidemic and the crack epidemic in the 80s.
Yeah.
We know what it was. In Wilmington, just here, we have East Side Wilmas, we have West Side Wilmas, okay? Mexican gangs on East and West, okay? Then you had Ghost Town Locals, which is Mexican gang, but then you had Ghost Town Bloods.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there was in that certain part of the neighborhood, there was Mexicans and blacks. In the 80s, there was a lot of a lot of Mexican Bloods.
Yes.
Okay. Now, West Side over here, Dana Strands, that's the projects. They're not there no more. That was Waterfront Piru. I had a lot of Filipino homies and a lot of Mexican homies that were Bloods.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. That's a real fucking thing. Hickory Street. Over there, it's a blood neighborhood, but they also had Mexicans in their hood for a time. You know, with Grape Street, there was 2 Grape Streets. There was Watts Vadio Grape Street and Grape Street. You know, projects, Jordan Downs, whatever.
Yeah,
and you know they were all in one fucking place. You know what I mean? And there was a time that it was integrated, and then it got separated for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, you grow up where you grow up.
Yeah.
And your homies are your homies in spite of what anybody else might fucking think or say. And, you know, it's of circumstance. And, you know, like the way that they say you can't choose your family. Sometimes in circumstance, you don't choose where you're going. This is where you can be.
Right.
And you adapt to that.
Yeah.
And no one should fucking judge anyone for that. Whether you're a black dude living in a Mexican neighborhood or Mexican living in a black neighborhood, a white dude living in either one of those, or you're a Mexican or black living in a white neighborhood. It is what it is.
I want to say this. In the 80s, nobody had a problem with Mexicans being Bloods.
No.
Nobody had a problem, okay?
Or Crips.
Or Crips, okay? Now, it's crazy that here we are, 2025, and people have problems with it. But I'm going to tell you who is creating the problem, at least in my opinion. These new booty podcasters.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what's doing it.
It's something to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's something that they don't know much about.
You're right, because they never leave their house.
You know, it's like if you didn't live it, it's hard to like actually talk about it. And if you're with someone who lived it, they'll, you know, their obligation is to educate you on maybe the shit you don't know or don't understand. And you don't have enough of that. Motherfuckers just let people run you know, loose and with false information or with half the information and sometimes these judgmental fucking sorts of fucking attitudes like, hey man, you know, it is what it is, and if you don't accept it, that's on you.
Yeah, no.
But these situations are that actually happen. You know, like look, I'll tell you what, I was banging obviously with Bloods, as you know, right? Yes. And one of the first times I get snatched up with some of my homies, we get locked up in a holding tank, I think on one of those fucking, what division was it? Maybe 77th Street Division, LAPD shit, right? Where they're crash units and they're cracking down on gangs. Crash units were
heavy back then.
And they get 3 of us from my neighborhood, and we're fucking locked up. And there's 3 other Crips in another cell. Yeah. And they got a black homie over there who grew up in a neighborhood that is, I think, was Glanton, right? At the time. And this was in the 80s, probably like 87, 88, maybe. And this motherfucker, to talk to him, black dude.
Yeah.
He had a thicker Mexican accent than I could ever have, dog.
I've met those guys.
You've met those guys. And that shit is real.
¿Qué pasó ese?
Yeah, even a fucking white boy. You know what I mean? Even a white boy, they grew up in a Mexican neighborhood or a black neighborhood. They won't fucking adapt like that.
Yes.
And you know, for people that don't live in that circumstance, they don't see it, so they don't understand it, and they don't believe it.
Yeah.
But it's fucking real.
No, it's real. Look, I'm going to go ahead and say it. In Wilmot, and I'm speaking for Wilmot, I'm not the representative, but I'm giving you my experience. We've had blacks that win medals. You know, we had whites that were win medals. We had Samoans that were win medals.
Yeah.
And it's funny that they never get no shit, but we get shit.
Yeah. They don't get shit.
They don't get nothing.
No, hell no. Nobody wants to fuck with them.
You know?
But I mean, that's the thing, right? And it is what it is. And
Selective politics.
Yeah, selective politics. And for me, I never engaged in it. I didn't give a fuck what anybody thought.
Absolutely.
You know, hey, like if you got to have much of a problem with it, you can come to me and I'm open. You know, I'm not the guy that has got a fortress around him that you can't get to if you really need to talk to me.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, I fear nothing but God's wrath. So, like, whatever you got to say to me, you could say to me, and and I'll take it. And if I got something to say back, great. If I don't, okay, cool. But realistically, I don't give a fuck about nobody's judgment but God.
Amen with that.
Right?
And with that, I'm going to change the channel, and I'm going to say, B, we got about 5 minutes because I'm going to stay on time. What can we expect from Be Real 2025 from here on out? Like, go ahead. Podcast, music, whatever.
Tone, you know me. I'm a productive guy, right? So
yes.
I got a few things, right? So there's the Serial Killer album coming with Exhibit and Demrick, produced by Scoop DeVille, Kid Frost's son.
All of it?
All of it.
Okay.
Myself, Demrick, and Exhibit, we thought like, hey, it needs to be one guy. You know, that's the
way it was back then.
Yes, right?
Yes.
All the classic albums were one producer.
Guy. Yes.
So we said we're gonna give Scoop this creative license and let him do what he thinks we should be on and support that, right? And my dude, and I've known him since he was like fucking maybe 4 or 5 years old. I watched him grow up in this game because I was with Kid Frost for a minute, you know, yes. Right hand style.
Yes.
And I watched this kid, and seeing him come into his was very awesome. And what he delivered on the music, ridiculous. And then, you know, he flipped some bars on this album, ridiculous. I would say, like, look, Serial Killers has always been Exhibit, Demrick, and myself as the 3 members, but we consider Scoop now like the 4th member because he
spit?
He spit.
Okay, really quick. I want to say it was 1996, 97, somewhere around there. Me and Mello flying to Arizona to do a show. Scoop DeVille is on the plane. He's about 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. He's with Frost. I saw him do his first live performance. And you know what his bars were? Chicano, and I'm brown and proud. And I saw that.
Yeah.
That was his first time up on stage, according to Frost. Okay?
I'll give that to Frost, man. That he groomed his son to be one of the best in hip hop, representing, you know, himself and the West Coast and just hip hop in general. He groomed him. He had him on stage at a very early age, rapping ABCs and then like teaching him phrases and shit like that. Right. Having him in studios around some of the best musicians, producers,
yeah.
And it stuck.
Yeah.
And right now, I tell you, man, when people hear this Serial Killer shit, they're going to be fucking blown away because my dude is ridiculous. I mean, his song on my first solo album, I did an album on Duck Down called Smoke and Mirrors. And this was, I believe, in 2009, 2008, something like that, or 2008, 2009. And he did a song for me called Don't You Dare Laugh. And I had Demrick on the song originally, and he hit me up and said, hey, man, Exhibit is down to get on a track. Why don't we get him on Don't You Dare Laugh? And he spit on Don't You Dare Laugh, and the 3 of us really loved the way we sounded together, you know, the contrast of our voices. And Scoop DeVille's track was the track that put that group together.
Oh, wow.
And so now, you know, all these years later that this is our 5th album together, he's producing all of that shit.
All of it.
And he's done an enormous job. And The bars that he spit on this one particular song, fucking crazy. But it doesn't surprise me because he is a prodigy in this game.
Absolutely. Well, let me say this: we were on a plane going to Arizona, and he's there, and I remember he was sitting in front of us. Mello sitting with me. I got the middle fucking chair. I didn't get the fucking window, but Mello got the aisle, and Frost was right there. His son got the aisle chair. Okay. I remember what CD he put in his CD Walkman, and you know what it was? Wu-Tang's first album.
Oh yeah.
So I was like,
he was a hip hop kid.
This kid knows.
Yeah, it wasn't about no West Coast shit. It was about hip hop, global, worldwide.
If you're a true hip hop fan, it's got to be global.
Yeah,
it
universal. Universal.
Because I met guys here that, I'm just a West Coast guy. You know what? You know what I really want to say? You don't know shit.
That's regional.
It's regional. Yeah, it's regional,
and that's small potatoes way of thinking.
Thank you, because I've always told people, stop trying to impress LA.
Yeah,
LA doesn't give a fuck about you, bro. They don't care. Think international.
Yeah,
and.
What's crazy about LA, and this is my city,
absolutely.
I'm born and raised here.
Born and raised, and you hold on. Let me turn this shit down. Stop trying to impress LA. I just turned my shit on like that.
Yeah, I get high as fuck and I do the same shit. So here's the thing: LA is where we come from, and we are very fickle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it's not about impressing LA. If you impress New York or you impress somewhere in the South, then LA follows through.
They follow.
There's got to be a cosign of some sort before LA follows. Kendrick is an exception.
Ooh, yes.
Because he's so fucking good, he don't need no stamp.
Say Drake.
I mean, LA just following that shit like they should. Thank you, LA, for following a fucking legend right now. He's a legend
yes.
fucking now.
Yes.
And y'all are doing that. So salute to you for actually, getting behind the LA artist that is doing some special things, because it's hard for an LA artist to get off. You have to have New York and the South and the fucking north east and the all that shit around there, them co-signing you for you to get any fucking love. Otherwise, you're just regional.
Yeah.
And everywhere is giving my man Kendrick that love because they recognize universal music when they fucking hear it. And any artist here aspiring to do music, you shouldn't settle for the regional, because that means you're only going to tour this state, maybe Arizona, maybe Vegas, maybe Texas.
Yeah.
But you ain't going to get to the Midwest. You ain't going to get to the East Coast, the South, or any of that shit. Think universal. That's, what I would say to any artist. Think universal.
Thank you for them gems, because it's true. Because a lot of people, they immediately think, I got to impress LA. You don't got to impress LA, bro.
No.
You don't.
You impress LA by killing everywhere else.
Everywhere else you go.
Because they say New York is the hardest to get over on, but it's really LA these days.
Okay, check this out, B. One of my homeboys, I believe his podcast is Hip Hop 101. Okay?
Yes.
Hip Hop 101 in New York, okay? That's my boy. He runs that shit.
Salute.
They just had a Roxanne Shante over there, okay?
Yeah.
I think they had her there for about an hour and a half. In 2 days, you know how many views they had of her? Views on YouTube.
How many?
22.
What?
22. So I called them up and I said, bro, you got over 100,000 subscribers on your podcast. How do you have 22 views? And he told me this. Tony, because New York motherfuckers don't give a fuck about New York legends anymore.
They don't. They're on to something else.
They're on something else.
Look, New York was pioneering shit for a long time.
For a long time, yes.
And then the South came and started
That's exactly what he said. He said, they'd rather jack a motherfucker from the South. That's what he said.
Well, look, LA had its time where we were fucking running shit.
Yeah.
New York had its time. They probably had the longest time.
The longest time, yeah.
because it's the birthplace, it's the Mecca.
Yeah.
But the South, when they flipped shit on its head, and the South did that.
Yeah.
They made motherfuckers in LA try to make Southern music. They had motherfuckers in New York trying to make Southern music. They had motherfuckers in Canada trying to make Southern music.
Yes.
They flipped the game on its head, and motherfuckers lost their identity.
Thank you for saying that. You're
Now-
absolutely right.
Now, Kendrick is resetting shit because he's not on that shit. He's on his shit. And he's resetting it. And that is the great thing about right now is that everybody's going to get back in their own bag
Yes.
and figure it out. And there's going to be all these different colors that happen. And my man did that. And that's a big fucking deal because realistically, nobody else was going to do that for us
Yes.
here
Absolutely.
or for hip hop just in general. It's a different color. Especially, you know, he's from the West Coast. He did something very different that relates to anybody anywhere. And I'll tell you what, you know, I fuck with Drake to a point, you know, like I get down with Drake. He got some bars and people may have hard time swallowing that.
Yeah.
But it is true. But what Kendrick did to him was much like what Cube did to NWA. He decimated him.
Fuck. I'm glad you said it.
And he changed the game. Like the style of music that he came with. He fucking did a diss song to a dance track. Motherfuckers are in the club screaming A minor. Yeah, I mean, that's brilliant.
Okay, B, I have to ask you this question, okay? Is Kendrick's diss song, They're Not Like Us, to Drake, bigger than No Vaseline?
I think they're equal. Because in their time.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad you said it that way. Thank you.
Because Ice Cube took the group he was formerly in.
Yeah.
Meaning multiple motherfuckers.
Yes.
Who were dope as well. He took them on by himself.
Yes.
And he fucking roasted them in such a way that as dope as they were, they could not serve that back.
And he mentioned them by name. He didn't throw no subliminals.
Yeah, no, there was no subliminals there. Cube like went in hard, right?
Yeah.
And Kendrick, you know, he's taking on Drake and shit like that, but he's putting other motherfuckers on notice while serving Drake. It's two different things, but I feel like it's on an equal plane because, I mean, when you think about what Ice Cube did, he served all those fuckers by himself.
With no social media.
And I love all those guys. You know, I love Ren. I love Dre. We all know this because I've worked with all of them.
Absolutely.
The only guy, rest in peace, I didn't get a chance to work with was Easy.
Yes.
But I've worked with Cube, Dre, and Ren. Love all of them. I love those guys. They were a big influence.
And B, I want to say this, okay? Easy came to my house twice. And both times he said, "Is your mom making tacos?" I'm like, "Yeah." You know, my mom used to make taquitos.
Yeah.
Okay. Bring those motherfuckers over here. Look, Easy E ate at my house twice. And he ate my mother's cooking. My mother, rest in peace. And those are beautiful memories that I could take to the grave with me, bro. So
yeah, man.
yeah. So yeah.
It's all about those.
Yeah.
Fucking good memories like that.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I mean, you know, when you think about the two and what they've done.
yes.
Yeah, Ice Cube took on a crew by himself.
Yeah.
His former crew, but he did it by himself. So, you know, that's some shit he's been saying, like, you know, hey, yeah, Kendrick shit is dope. You know, and he served those dudes, but like I took on my crew by myself.
Yeah.
And you know, hey, that being said, Kendrick is taking on all comers by himself.
Absolutely.
So to me, they're equally as dope. Like you can't take away from what Cube did because he served them.
Yeah.
And you cannot take away from what Kendrick did because he had motherfuckers on the Grammys, on the Oscars,
Yes,
and
yes.
all these different platforms that are huge,
Yes.
screaming that A minor shit.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, they're equal. You know, the feat that, you know, Cube served all of them by himself, and this dude where he's got everybody screaming that shit.
All good. I have 2 questions before we go to shout-outs. One of my questions is, and if you can't answer, you take a shot.
Bust it.
Okay. Rakim or Nas?
That's tough, but I got to go with Rakim.
Rakim. That's what I go with.
I mean, I love Nas because, like, for me, him and Rakim are like, Rakim is like the first Nas.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I feel like, you know, Nas is very influenced by Rakim. So I feel there's the connection there.
Okay.
I feel like if Rakim doesn't exist, maybe Nas has a completely different style.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I love what Nas does right now. And I feel like they should actually be 2 dudes that do an album together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. My last question is this. Who is your bucket? You know, I'd say the bucket list.
Yeah.
Who's your bucket list interview?
Interview.
Yeah.
Huh, fuck,
Who would you love to say? Think about this. Let me expand your mind. Musician, drummer, guitarist, actor, rapper, whatever.
Fuck, that's a good question, man, because I never thought of that. Most people ask me, you know, who I'd want to get on a track on, like, you know.
Yeah. Let me
That
give you
type of
mine
thing.
first. Maybe it might spark your mind, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody out there, anybody listening, this is who I want here. It'll never happen, but this is who I want. I'm going to throw out there in the universe. I want Clint Eastwood.
Oh, my God. That's a good one to have.
I want Clint Eastwood. My dad introduced me to Clint Eastwood movies.
Yes.
So that's, put it this way. He was mayor of, God.
Yeah, was it Palms? No, it wasn't Palm Springs. It was,
No, it was the Palm
fuck, it was, where was it? It was up north, right?
Yes, it was out north.
Carmel?
Carmel, there you go. Because I went out there one time and I went to an antique shop and it said, Clint Eastwood for mayor.
Yeah.
And I bought that fucking badge.
Him and Sonny Bono.
Sonny Bono. Okay.
That's right. Him and Sonny Bono were fucking,
Bro,
yeah.
how was Cher looking the way she looks still?
Yeah, hey, a lot of money does a body good.
It's no longer the milk that's the body good. It's a lot of money, huh?
It's money, you know. You could take care of yourself. You got the money to have the right chefs, like fucking, you know, making the right meals for you. You got the fucking trainers. You got the surgeons or whatever, you know, that you use. Yeah, money could help you on the upkeep that, like, folks that don't have the money, it's like if you ain't keeping up with your shit in some kind of way, it catches up to you faster.
Okay.
But some people got great genetics.
Genetics is everything.
And genetics is everything.
Absolutely. Because I got motherfuckers, homies that got 6-packs, never worked out in one motherfucking day in their life.
Oh, man, I hate those motherfuckers.
I had to earn my shit, B.
I can't.
I had to earn my shit.
Listen, the work I be putting in, man, and I can't get to that. It's just not in my makeup. I have to, like, sacrifice too much to get there.
Absolutely.
But, like, I do a lot of work for sure.
B, is there a 24-hour fitness where you live?
Probably. There's a LA Fitness, 20-hour fitness crunch. There's all that shit around there.
One day, let's do this for the fans. Let's do a 24-hour fitness. Work out with me or I go work out with you. We'll do chest, okay?
Yeah.
Like.
Oh, you'll outlift me all day.
No, I don't care about that, bro. I just want to work out with you, bro.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
I got some crazy workouts that I do because realistically for the stage part, right?
Because I know all you guys have like a watch thing that I seen your workout. I see, bro. I tune in, bro. I tune in. So yeah.
So what it is it started with me and Bobo.
Okay.
Having a competition on who's going to burn the most calories in the show, right?
Yeah.
And if we work out beforehand, it's a lot of calories, right? So like if I work out that morning, most likely by the end of the show, if it's on a show day, I'm going to burn like 2,500 calories. And because he's a percussionist and drummer
Yes.
in the show, he'll burn like just above me. Like if I burn 25, he's burning 26, 27.
Okay.
Right? But we'll compare and all that shit. And so
Right.
that shit is where it started, like who's going to burn the most fucking calories, right? But I've always worked out in some sort of way, whether it was martial arts or it was weight training of some sort,
Yes.
or, kickboxing or any of this shit, right?
Yeah.
And, at some point when I got with a trainer, I got taught certain things. And so, like, I just make sure I noted those things and added the things I need to add aside from whatever that particular regimen is, and I'll go in on it. And I don't lift heavy anymore because that's not
We're
really
older now.
Yeah, I'm older, and on stage, the more weight I have, the harder it is.
It is.
So it's better for me to be just, not
To maintain what you have.
maintain what I have and not be so muscular and shit like that. Because there was a time Seth and I were beefing the fuck up.
Absolutely.
And, like when we were doing that, it was hard. Like that hour and a half got fucking hard on the knees, ankles, back, because we're carrying so much up here. Muscle weighs more than
Absolutely.
fat, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So, I started just being like doing core shit, maintaining, having endurance enough to like fucking do that hour and a half and not feel like I'm fucking dead after the show. You're like,
Absolutely.
not feeling fatigued, like feeling like I could go 2 hours, 2.5 hours, as opposed to, fuck, I can't wait till this shit is over. Because there is that if you don't take care of yourself.
I've had haters that have told me, why do you work out, old man? You know what my answer is, B? I'm only going to say this once, so listen up. To look good naked.
There you go. Look good naked, fucking healthy life, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Feeling strong. You know what I'm saying? You could wear tight shit and, you're going to get chicks like, rubbernecking all day. Come on.
Absolutely. B, at this point, you know what? Any shout outs you want to give? You know what? I'm going to give that shout out to the Insane Asylum.
Word.
They were in here today.
Yeah.
So much love to the Insane Asylum. And I want to say that everybody, Dr. Greenthumb, has always made me feel welcome. And it's been beautiful. So
Yeah, you got to come back.
thank you. Thank you for all that love.
We got to have some shots over there.
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
whatever you want me to bring,
We'll
I'll bring
make it happen. You already know how we do.
Absolutely, my brother. Any shout outs you want to give, my brother?
I want to shout out to everybody watching this podcast and supporting all these podcasts that we actually do as a network, as a community, as homies and shit like that. And, seeing shit for what it really is and not being judgmental, being open, and catching a fucking vibe, So salute to all y'all out there. Many blessings, positivity, positive energy, and love out there to you. And fuck all those haters. Don't give them none of your time, none of your energy, because they ain't worth it.
Absolutely. I'm going to give my shout outs, okay? And let's put me on this camera right here. First and foremost, I'm going to give a shout out to Be Real. This man could have been anywhere in the world today, but he chose to be here. And I'm truly honored and grateful to have him here because it is truly honored. This was a man that I saw perform in the early 90s. And, bro, I was geeked out like when I saw him perform. Like the whole Cypress Hill, DJ Muggs, Sendog, Be Real, Bobo, everybody. Like I truly was a fan since day one. So, but I also want to give a shout out to the whole Be Real TV crew. Much love and respect to them. So make sure you guys subscribe to them, like and share, comment. And if you're a hater, just keep on hating because obviously your life is that bad that you have to keep on hating. You know what? And cool, whatever. Keep fucking tonguing, fucking Twinkies, because that's the only fucking cream you're gonna get. Other than that, I want to give a shout out to my whole team out here. Everybody who like, comment, subscribe on ROADIUM Radio, all the ROADIUM Radio warriors, all of our members. Thank you for tuning in tonight. You know what? And I'm thankful that B was able to make this happen for us, because this man could be anywhere, okay? This man has traveled around the world many times. This man has a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This man has accomplished so much. He doesn't have to be here, but he was here for not only for me, but for you guys. So I just want you guys to show appreciation. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. Other than that, Alex, put it on the center camera. Okay. Other than that, B, thank you. This is your 5th time here, my brother. So thank you for that. Much love, much respect for you. Whatever you need from me, I'm here for you. Okay.
You know, it's always love.
Absolutely.
And you're going to come on the Dr. Greenthumb show. We're going to chop it up, have fun. And man, it's always great to come back.
Absolutely,
and,
my brother.
you know, be at the table, have some shots, and chop it the fuck up.
Absolutely.
On some real shit.
Whatever you need from me, just hit me up. Other than that, Alex, let's start with those promos, and we're out of here. Okay, once again, we're here at Fashion Town in the city of Torrance. If you guys need chonies, if you guys need shorts, if you guys need Ben Davis, 501s, Dickies, white tees, this is the place to get it. Much love to my bro, Jen. Thank you. Let's go to the next one. I want to give a shout out to my boy, Frankie Orozco, July 19th, save the date, To Live and Die in LA. Make sure you guys get your tickets. We'll be announcing that soon. Let's go to the next one. And then once again, go to, the QR code, Lost in You for Forever Genesis. I'm already fucking butt off. So make sure you guys click on that. Check out her video. It's fucking dope. Let's go to the next one. And her albums on all streaming platforms, Forever Genesis. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this project. And you guys can walk up to your television and scan the QR code. Go to YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment. You're truly going to enjoy this record. And let me say this. I want to thank Be Real. And I also want to thank, once again, Be Real TV for interviewing her and giving her an opportunity to share her story. And it was a beautiful story. And I'm just thankful that she was able to share her story on a major platform. So make sure you guys go on there and, check her out. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Here we have Be Real TV. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. If you guys haven't, bro, you guys get the top. On the West Coast, this is the #1 podcast, okay? This is the #1 podcast.
Thank you, sir.
You get everybody here. So, just scroll, like, comment, subscribe. You get everybody here. Okay, so from an iconic group, Cypress Hill. Much love, much respect. We are out of here. Thank you, B.
Much love.
Much love. We're out of here.